Hey, Prime members, you can listen to Crime and Sports early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Download the app today.
In the depths of an Atlanta forest, a clash between activists and authorities ends in tragedy. I'm Matthew Scher, and on my new podcast, We Came to the Forest, we expose the hidden truths behind a shootout that left one activist dead and countless lives forever changed. Binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest ad-free on Wondery Plus.
And welcome to Crime and Sports.
Yay!
Oh, yay indeed, Jimmy. Yay indeed. My name is James Petrogallo. I'm here with my co-host.
I'm Jimmy Wissman.
Thank you, folks, so much for joining us on another wild, crazy, insane edition of Crime and Sports. And we do not let you down, and we have not let you down. And this week, we're certainly not letting you down here. This is another wild.
Them up.
The last few we had Maradona. We had Ed Belfour. These are like marathon crazy. And then this one's another one, guy who's famous forever and
for a long time.
We're really laying it on the line. I hope everyone's enjoying this. So quickly before we get started, it's brain damage sports this week, too.
Outstanding.
It's a man whose head could be described as meat most accurately, so, especially because it's bleeding all the time. So quickly, though, thank you for everything you do for us. Your reviews are very helpful. 5 stars, whatever app you're listening to. If you have not done that yet, it does help the show out a lot, and we have no goddamn idea why. But thank you for doing it. ShutUpAndGiveMeMurder.com is where you get your stuff, with merchandise and tickets to live shows. And
you get it.
Shit like that. Go there and buy shit. There you go. Patreon.com/Crime and Sports is where you get good shit. There's also shit there. Good shit. Good shit on the site. Good shit over here. More shit, good shit. Okay. Patreon this week, anyone $5 or above, you get access to everything that we make, everything we put out on Patreon. You get access to Crime and Sports bonus. You get access to Small Town Murder bonus as well, which is subjects you'll be interested in. It's not just the story. So check this out. This week, the 2 episodes you're going to get. First of all, the downfall of Bobby Knight we're going to talk about. The college coach, national champion, huge hero to the state of Indiana, and then he wasn't anymore very quickly.
He gave it up.
And he was the same guy for a long time, and we'll tell you kind of how things changed and how his temper got a little too much for even the administrators there. And then for Small Town Murder, something everyone will be interested in, we are going to talk about a almost 30-year-old documentary.
I swear it's relevant.
It's so relevant, though. It's amazing.
Fantastic.
On HBO Max called Lock Up Rikers Island, and it's the quintessential jail documentary, really. It's the one that
Feels
everything
like
else springs from.
Yeah,
it's the seed. It's the ground zero. It's where it all comes from. Patient zero is what I meant to say. So that and we'll talk about other prison stuff too. We're going to compare different states, maybe different countries. We'll get into it. It's a lot of stuff. Crazy shit there. Patreon.com/Crime and Sports. And of course,
see you there.
And you're going to get a shout out at the end of the show, obviously. So,
of course.
God damn it, we appreciate what you're doing for us, and we hope you like the bonus stuff. That said, let's get into this.
Let's go.
Because it's a wild one and a lot of stuff going on with Charles Wepner. You know who that is, Jimmy?
I only know now because I'm aware.
Chuck Wepner.
Otherwise, I would have no fucking clue. I thought it was Judge Wapner's son.
I thought you knew who he was, so I brought it up before the show, and I was like, I didn't mean
no idea.
I didn't blow the surprise because you didn't know who he was, but his Chuck Wepner is what he goes by. His nickname, and it's one of the better nicknames in the history of boxing or really any sport, the Bayonne Bleeder.
Oh.
How great is that?
Not bad. He's from Jersey, huh?
He's a Jersey guy. Oh, he's all Jersey, man. He is
how
Mr.
I know about
New
Bayonne,
Jersey.
James?
Oh.
It's from this little show called The Sopranos, if you've never seen it. It's terrific. It's a great show.
Maybe once or twice. So he is all Bayonne all the time, Mr. Wepner here. Jesus Christ, the Bayonne Bleeder is his name because in every fight, he looks like in every fight like he's been fighting for 48 rounds.
It's just a water faucet?
Swollen, cuts everywhere. The amount of stitches this man gets in his over the course of his career. People are astonished by it. They're like, he loves him.
Is that right?
Oh, it's amazing. So he's born February 26th, 1939.
Oh.
Back there. Yeah, this is, I mean, pre American involvement in World War II. This
right.
Is,
Quite the elderly fella.
Yeah, he's up there. So he's born in New York City. That's where the hospitals are. And he grows up, he's the Bayonne guy. I mean, that's who he is here. He's about
right across the river. It's right there.
It's right there. He's about a year old when him and his mom, he's raised by his mother, single mother, which back then was relatively rare. Not rare, but much more rare.
It was certainly frowned upon.
Single parent is now. Yeah, single parent, who cares? But back then it was like, oh my, did your husband... Did he die in the service? Was he killed in the service? They didn't understand, like maybe people didn't get along or something. So, or maybe he's a drunken scumbag, or who knows what the hell's going on. There's a lot of factors that can go on. So he's about a year old when they move in with his grandparents, his mother's parents, obviously. And he was raised in a living room here that was a converted coal shed. That's where his mom. That's where his mom and he lived in a converted coal shed until he was 13 years old. So he grew up in a coal shed they made into,
a single room,
a single room inhabitant situation here. So he grew up. This was on 28th Street near Hudson Boulevard, which is now Kennedy Boulevard. If you're from that area and wondering where we're talking about, so he's one of two boys. He's got a brother. And they grew up in the projects. I mean, he grows up in the projects. It's very blue-collar, old school, hey, come over here. Come over here. I'll break your nose there, buddy, like shit like that. Whatever stickball fucking tough kid with like Kangol hat fucking fantasy you have of an old school, that's what we're talking about.
Marching to the malt shoppy to get a piece of Bazooka Joe.
To steal a piece of Bazooka Joe with the other fellas. We're going to go down there and we're going to rip them off, see?
Yeah. In the summer, we're going to crack open a fire hydrant.
What are those other kids doing on that other street there? I saw them. We're going to steal that. That's a pretty nice stickball bat he's got there. I think we should take it. What do you think? Wait till he puts it down and run the first. Skinny, you run in there, grab it. You run away. Skinny, he's the fast one of the group. You go in there. You run away. Chunky, you stand by in case they go after him. You knock him down. Okay, let's go.
But Chunky's skinny and Skinny's chunky, so
it's
a very weird time.
It's a strange time in the world here. Then Curly, you rub your bald head on him.
It's a fascinating time.
So Wepner, they grow up in the projects. He takes up boxing at first when he's 9 years old, and then he sort of in the gym and sort of on the streets. He likes to fight, whether it's. You will hear about it. He likes to fight in bars. He likes to fight on the street. He likes to fight, in the ring. He likes to fight wherever.
He's likes to fight guy.
He's a likes to fight guy. He's 6'5", 225 pounds, a big giant,
right?
Fucking block head on him that can take any amount of abuse and not be. It'll bleed, but that's about it.
Yeah.
So. He says like this, quote, I was skinny when I was a kid, and one day the toughest guy in the neighborhood stole my bike. I got mad and beat him up. Then I became the toughest guy in the neighborhood.
That's how that works.
Yes. He said, hierarchy. He's a very good athlete, good in multiple sports. Plays basketball for his high school, plays basketball for the Bayonne Police Athletic League as well.
Oh, really?
He's a very good basketball player, actually.
Fascinating.
And at 6'5" back then, in high school, not everybody's 6'5" back then. So,
right.
It's not too bad. So he ends up playing on the basketball team in school and fighting on the streets. And he said, quote, this was a tough town with a lot of tough people from the docks and the naval base. So you had to fight to survive.
Jesus Christ.
Jesus. A bunch of sea people coming.
Facial scars and shit.
Yeah.
These are bad men.
I've been on the sea for a week and a half, and all I want to do is beat up a child. Just coming off, big scars on their face. So I want to get laid and beat up a kid. Come over here, kiddo.
Makes it sound like the 1800s.
That's kind of what it was like back then. Yeah. This is tough shit, man. So he ends up opting to join the Marines after high school. Yeah, he, late 50s, he goes into the Marines.
Shit.
Figures it's a way to get out of the neighborhood, number one. You can see the world. And a lot of times back then, that's why kids, we don't realize it now because there's like the age of cable television in the 80s and 90s, and then the internet in the 90s and through now. Like, you can kind of see stuff, of stuff, and you feel like you're more connected with the rest of the world.
Sure.
back then, where you could walk to was your whole world. There was no
your world. Yeah.
There was no anything. So people used to join the service just to see the world.
The world.
Yeah.
Literally.
Kids would do it just to get off of their farm because they didn't want, you know what I mean? Just to get off the farm, just to get out of their neighborhood, just to get it's an adventure. It's something to do. Like,
because they saw pictures of an advertisement to Hawaii in the newspaper.
And they'd hear from their dads and their uncles at how, the ones that survived the wars they were in. They were talking about nostalgia is an amazing thing.
It is. Yeah.
People would even have nostalgia for war. Like someone after World War II will tell you what a great time. They'll tell you stories, and we did this and we did that, and they don't tell you.
Beautiful France is.
They don't tell you about that time their friends' brains ended up all over them and they had to clean them off their shirt. Like they don't mention that part of it because nostalgia filters out. Psychologically,
the trauma,
and that's what nostalgia is. Your brain filters out the shit. That's why we all think it was better before. People that grew up in the 50s, it was so much better back then. No, it wasn't. It sucked. No. It sucked. Let's be honest. The entertainment sucked. Couldn't do anything. Couldn't go anywhere. It was very stiff. Everybody was fucking... Elvis couldn't be shown from the waist down. What are we talking about here? That wasn't better. I'm sorry. Like, if you think that was better, we're different kinds of fucking people. You're just filtering out the shit.
Bad time, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? We filter it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So everybody does that. So every era is the best, whether it was the Depression, the Dust Bowl. You remember the good stuff. So anyway, that's what kids did. They'd go out on an adventure. That was the whole point, and to get the hell out of here. And also, you'd hear the stories from the people who survived the wars about how great it was and their nostalgia. Yeah. Hey, that sounds good. That's what I'm going to do. I'll make friends. I'll go out there.
I mean, if you're in Bayonne, though, you just got to look across the horizon. You can see the city and know that there's a whole lot better places right there.
You would think so, wouldn't you? That's the thing. You would think so, but that feels like it might as well have a wall around it and be a fortress of where you don't belong. Have you ever seen Saturday Night Fever?
Yes.
That's the 70s, and the whole movie is about Manhattan as this fucking walled-off fortress Oz, and you can't get into it. You can walk to it literally across the bridge. There's a fucking walking lane. Like, you don't even need a car to get there.
The other part is, like, if you do want to join the service and go see the world and go see, like, tropical things, that is something that New York City is not. There is nothing tropical about that shit.
And back then, you'd think, too, that was exotic to travel. You couldn't travel anywhere that wasn't in a car in, like, the 40s. You could, but it was a real thing. Like, but if the government was going to take you places, fucking cool. Like, you thought that was cool.
Yeah.
So
meanwhile, there are people around this country and around the world that travel to where you live to see how great it is, and you're like, I want the fuck out of here.
Yeah, you want to go. We remember the Small Town Murder episode we did in Fishkill, New York, and I was explaining how grew up 60 miles from there, and people were like, might as well be 10 million miles. Well, I couldn't possibly go there. I guess I'll just, do what I'm doing here and stay. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you people? That was my point. It's a weird thing.
Trudge through the woods here when the concrete jungle is right there. I mean,
when they grow up and shit, they're like, what can I possibly do? I guess I just got to get the shittiest job I can find here and stay here forever. No, you don't.
You don't have to.
There's opportunity there. So
guess what's there? Fucking Wall Street, 60 miles from here, guys.
Something. Fuck. I mean, maybe if you don't want to be a soulless twat, you could do something better, but be an evil shitbag, fucking scummy corporatist. But that's another story.
Manipulating other people's money to make yours, but whatever.
Yeah. Oh, don't get me started, Jimmy.
I hate them too.
Don't get me started. You know how I go off on a fucking rant about CEO worship.
Yeah.
The CEO worship is that's my thing that I can't imagine.
That's your new thing you loathe?
Yes. Yeah. I don't understand it. There is not a I will tell you this right now. I know everybody has their favorite little billionaire. It's a weird thing that people have. Like everyone has their favorite like billionaire. Like you have their baseball card.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. This is what I mean. I'm sorry. This has nothing to do with Chuck Wepner. He ends up becoming a member of the boxing team in the Marines. Yeah. He's a huge guy, boxing team, and he has a reputation for being able to take a punch. He's iron jaw.
I love that rep, though.
Is what he's known as. That's this guy. He's the guy this is the guy who's not known for talent. He's not known for ability. He's the guy who's known for taking the most punches in the face and keeping coming forward. That's his rep. So he's a hard boxer. When you watch him fight, he's hard not to like. because he looks awkward. He doesn't look like he's perfectly skilled, but you're like, Jesus, this guy just keeps coming. Yeah. You have to respect him.
He's a United Airlines gate attendant.
Not going to give up. Just keeps coming.
Takes him, bleeds, and keeps coming.
That's perfectly encapsulates flying United, by the way.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. That video, I saw it last night when I got off a United flight, and I was like, yeah, man, I get it.
Yeah, I get it. I'm having a similar issue with red-jacketed Delta people also after that Cincinnati flight. With the fucking
certainly get it.
Yeah.
I want to fight them too.
She started telling us about her day. Pardon? Excuse me?
Listen to mine, ma'am.
It's 100 people in here have been smelling shit for the last 2 hours in a fucking locked tube. Don't you fucking get on here and tell us about your day, twat. We're going to fucking rumble.
Tough one.
I will give you a swirly in that shit bowl. Don't fucking tempt me. I swear to God.
Want to have some blue hair, Marge? Keep talking.
Oh, boy. Yeah, we've had interesting air travel. So anyway, he becomes military champion at one of the air bases where he's at, which, he's a big, giant guy. He ended up, now, I don't know if this is true or not, but later on a Sports Illustrated article says that he says that he saved the lives of 3 Marine pilots pulling them from burning airplanes.
Really?
Which is very possible. And he's a giant guy, so he could totally yank somebody out of somewhere and carry him off, I'm sure.
Were they planes he was on, or does he just
No! They fucking were on fire, and
he looks for where they come. How many planes have you seen that have been downed?
Well, I guess it's an air base, so if a plane lands and has a problem, and maybe it's, I don't know, catches
3
on fire,
times? Jesus.
Fuel thing. Maybe he's very on the spot. Maybe they all landed at the same time on fire. There was a real problem with
one day.
One day they put the wrong thing in. Did somebody? Oh, fucking rubbing alcohol you put in there? No wonder why they're on fire. Use fuel next time. Jesus
Makes
Christ.
Makes sense. They keep coming down. Jesus.
Fuck. They're falling out of the sky in a burning flame.
I'm exhausted pulling these guys out of these heaps.
Jesus Christ. So, he fights in the Marine Corps, wins the heavyweight championship of the Cherry Point, North Carolina base.
Okay.
There he is. He leaves the service after a few years, does his time, and he gets a job as a bouncer in Bayonne.
That'll do it. Yeah.
Now he's a Marine champion boxer who's, at the door. So this is not the guy you want to get thrown out of the bar by, probably.
No. He tears apart planes and pulls people out of them. A drunk guy doesn't have a chance tonight.
Isn't that what you pictured, too? I picture him ripping the hatch off the top of the thing. Like it won't even open. He's like, brah, and then throws it.
He just opens the whole thing with his hands.
And headbutts it and breaks through the glass. So he said that all along, he said, quote, he realized eventually, quote, it was more fun to start fights than stop them, he said.
What?
He liked being in fights, and the whole point, a good bouncer isn't supposed to want to fight. They're supposed to want to stop a fight and get people to leave in the easiest, quietest, least property destructive way possible. That's the fucking job, really.
But he loves bouncing so much.
This isn't Roadhouse,
Right. He loves bouncing so much he creates incidents to bounce.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I was a bouncer, and I worked with guys like that.
Did they do that?
Oh, God. Look at this motherfucker being an asshole all night. I'm going to go bump into him. And they go bump into him. And then they look at him. What the fuck you looking at? Get out. I didn't do anything. Oh, yeah. Next thing you know, they're bouncing their fucking head off the ground.
What the fuck?
He came at me. And you're like, well, I mean,
you created a situation for somebody to come at you.
Well, you're in a job where it's like okay to fight at your job. So if you like fighting,
it's the actual title.
If you literally don't have to do anything else.
No.
I remember I'd stand there for 4 hours and then get in a fight real fast and then stand there for another 3 hours and then walk waitresses to cars and then go home. That was your whole fucking night.
What a job description.
It's a weird job. So, your whole time, 4 hours, you're just like, well, someone starts fighting, I'm going to fuck them up. That's it. Like other people are having a good time. They're trying to get laid. You're just like, you're sober and ready to fucking kick people's asses. So it's, not good. It's bad stuff. I was more of the lazy thing. Like, let's just see how it works out.
Yeah.
And then if they get mouthy, let's knock them down. Otherwise, really, let's calm down a little bit. So he joins the Golden Gloves at that point because he said, I want to fight. Yeah. The Gold Gloves is amateur boxing. He joins at 24.
He's most of the
kids are like 17. Well, there's age classes, but most of the adult ones, they're 18 years old. These kids are they're kids.
24, yeah, it's a smidge late to be beating the shit out of kids.
Yeah, so he fights a shitload of amateur fights. Here's one where in 1964, the championship match at the 64 Gold Gloves novice class heavyweight division, and he fights James Sullivan, who sounds as Irish as it gets. I mean, that's that old fighter. And it's a 3-round fight, goes the distance, but he wins by decision. So Chuck says, I was successful, but I wanted to start getting paid for fighting, so I turned pro.
Okay.
And here it goes here. He becomes pro in 1964, and he's fighting around the Northeast, as we'll talk about, and he becomes very popular because he's that guy. I mean, that area of the country, Northeast, and really everywhere, but for some reason the Northeast, if there's like a scrappy guy who'll take shots in the face and keep coming, that's the guy. I mean, people just fucking, that's the Rocky story, as we'll talk about. I mean, people love that shit.
Feels like he represents me.
Well, that's Rocky Marciano that's him. Rocky Marciano would get, he'd take 2 to give 1. That was his whole fucking thing. So that's kind of what people respect around here. So he's fighting all over. His first fight is in August 5th, 1964 in Bayonne at the Veterans Stadium in Bayonne versus George Cooper.
Oh.
Yeah, who this is also his pro debut. So there we go.
Brother.
Gary's brother. He dances on into the ring. It was hard to hit him. That's why it took 3 rounds to start hitting him.
Yeah.
The first 2, he's this tap dancing motherfucker. You're swinging at him. He's singing in the rain. You're like, what? I know that's Fred Astaire, but still.
It's close enough.
That's all I could think of. That's all I could think of. So, he's very debonair and dapper, George Cooper, coming in here. He's super duper. This is a knockout in the 3rd round. This is why Gary didn't fight. He didn't want this to happen to him.
Gary wants no part of this.
No part. 1-0 for Chuck. Next up, he's in an undercard match at Madison Square Garden in 64.
Oh, already.
This is the old Madison Square Garden, I believe. I don't think the new one opened until the late 60s. So the new one was in place of the bus station. This is the old Madison Square Garden right by there, and not quite the same type of place, but this is versus Rudy Pavesi, and it's his debut as well.
Hell yeah.
Oh, boy. And, not as well. Chuck already fought a fight, but this goes all 4 rounds. It's a 4-rounder. Chuck wins on points. He's 2-0. Next up at the Sunnyside Gardens in Sunnyside, Queens, which is these are all WWF day, like old-time locations that they used to run back in the day. So when they were
day is over now.
Yeah, well, this is when they were the WWF and shit, now when they were doing this, well before Vince Jr. took over and everything. So he fights Everett Copeland this night, Everett Copeland sounds like a man who handles your financial affairs? Oh, I have Everett Copeland. Doesn't it?
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like a man who's going to beat the shit out of you or anybody else.
His first and last name sound like a law firm, Everett and Copeland.
Everett Copeland, Mercer and Goldblum. That's like that's the law firm. He is 1-6-1, so maybe he should study the law because he's not fighting very well.
You're not good at this law.
No, but it goes all 6 rounds, and it turns out to be a draw. So
wow.
This guy, I don't know if he knew how to tie up or what it was, but it's a draw, and he's 2-0-1 now for Chuck. Mm-hmm. Next up, another Madison Square Garden undercard match in December of 1964 versus Jerry Tomasetti. Oh, Jerry Tomasetti's coming in the ring. Hold on.
Fucking guy.
Hold on a minute. I'm finishing my fucking scungil. What's wrong with you people? You fucking rushing me? I got that. Let me take my fight. I got an apron on. Oh, my fungul. I got to get in the ring with this fucking guy now. With some bum from New Jersey. There he is. So
Orchette Tomasetti.
Jerry Orchette Tomasetti. I like that.
Tough guy.
That's good. So Jerry Tomasetti's 3-1, and this goes all 4 rounds. Wepner knocks him down in the first round, and it goes to the decision of 4 rounds, and Chuck wins the unanimous decision, making him 3-0-1. Next up, back in Sunnyside Gardens in January of 65, so he's fighting almost every month here.
No doubt.
He fights Ray Patterson, who is 10-1-0 coming in. Not Floyd Patterson, Ray Patterson.
Yeah.
This fight goes all 6. He knocks Patterson down in the second round, wins a split decision, though, on here for Chuck on points. 4-0-1 for Chuck.
Chuck better stop relying on the judges.
That's what I'm saying. This is crazy. Next up, Everett Copeland again. I was fighting him again the next month. We already fought Everett Copeland. Why are we fighting him?
Get into this trilogy.
I guess so. Yeah, it's back at the Sunnyside Gardens. It was a draw last time. Well, I guess that's how you build interest. And here it comes. This time, it's a draw again.
God damn it!
Another draw.
Hate this guy.
Stop fighting each other. You guys are just
you
done.
Are too even. The two of you. You cancel each other out.
That's it. Evenly matched. It's over. So now he's 4-0-2. He hasn't lost yet. That's good. Yeah. Next up, Sunnyside Gardens again. This one's a while. He goes from the last fight was in March of '65. This one's in October '65. So he's building up to it. He fights Bob Stallings. This one.
Yeah.
Bob Stallings is 7-5-0. You know what his nickname is?
Crawling.
No.
Sprawling?
A nickname's supposed to look cool on a poster, so make people
Mauling?
interested. No. You're close, though.
Yeah.
George. That's his nickname. His nickname's fucking George, man.
What the fuck?
That's not a nickname. That's just a name. Call yourself George, then. Who's the Bob? Pick a fucking name. That's not a mechanical device or an animal or of some kind that you can call you. That's what a nickname is.
Oh,
an
it's
action that you're doing.
Right? It's an actual mechanic.
And all these guys, that's what they all are. And he's still too. Chuck is still working at bars, and he's doing shit like that. Like that's what he's doing.
Say this guy's name again with the nickname. I love it.
Bob George Stallings. George in quotes, of course.
Why is it so good?
Bob George Stallings. That would be like if you were like Jimmy Frank Wisman, put in like parentheses.
Looking for quotations.
Or quotations. Jimmy Frank Wisman. Which one? Do I call you Frank? Who are you? What's your fucking name?
I'm going to start doing it. I'm going to change my Twitter handle tonight.
It'd be one thing if he had like a crazy, like a really long foreign name, like if he was like Ala Mahuda Machad, Masharuda Mahad, but he goes by Tim, you know what I mean? But call me Tim. That would be one thing, and you'd be like, oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense. It's just easier for people.
George is still one syllable, but more letters. It's not shorter. It's longer.
Yeah, Bob and George are fine. Just pick a fucking name. So this fight goes all 6 rounds, and Chuck loses a split decision here.
Okay.
So he's 4-1-2.
And that the relying on the judges is not working now.
No, I don't know what it is here, but his technique is shit, even later on. He looks like
asserting dominance.
He looks like a plotting guy who's coming at you. He'll take a couple shots to be able to hit you with one. That's what he's trying to do. And he's not a real big knockout guy either. Like he doesn't have a ton of knockout power against heavyweights in the ring. So it's like, I don't understand it here.
But he's relying on the judges with the one knockdown. And that one knockdown should be enough to win the fight, probably. That's probably what's happening. But if you don't knock him down, then what? You're going to fucking lose.
And like the fight, even the one where he knocked the guy down, it was still a split decision. So, I mean, that means the other guy probably outboxed him the rest of the time, but he knocked him down and probably landed a few more power shots that got him judged.
2 of them were like, he went down, so I guess he wins.
Yeah. Next up in January 1966, at Madison Square Garden, he fights Buster Mathis, who's actually becomes we've talked about him. Yeah. Great fighter. He's 5-0 right now, Buster, and he's on the rise to a very, very successful career. That's a nickname, by the way, Buster. Yeah. Now we're talking.
That's badass.
So that's better. And I mean, Douglas used it too, and didn't work out so well for him, but he did beat Tyson. This fight is called in the 3rd round. It's a TKO loss for Wepner here. Yeah, loses to Buster Mathis, which there's no shame in losing to Buster Mathis. He's a great fighter.
Yeah.
That's what happened. So,
what year was that? That was in the 60s, huh?
66.
Was Buster done by 80?
Yeah, but didn't he? I think he came back again. Yeah. He's one of those guys who tried to come back.
I've seen
I believe
a fight of his.
Probably. We've talked about him before.
Yeah.
Definitely, we've talked about him a few times because he fought Ron Lyle too. They came from the same era here. So that's the other thing too. This is a parallel to the Ron Lyle story from a couple months ago here, because this is we'll talk about it. It's the same type of deal. So anyway, 4-2-2 for Chuck. The next month again, which I mean, he got beat by TKO'd by Buster Mathis. Maybe take a month off, but he ends up fighting the next month in February 1966 at Sunnyside Gardens against Jerry Tomasetti again.
God damn it.
Fucking fight. I gotta fight this Chuck guy again. I don't know what it is. This fucking guy is in my ear. I hear him. It's like, hey, Chuck. I hear it in my sleep.
Probably in the 60s, there wasn't near as many fighters as there was in the late 80s, early 90s.
There was a shit ton of like low-level fighters back then. Oh, yeah, a lot of them. Boxing was
pros, though.
Yeah, boxing was insanely popular back then, especially for live events. There was a lot more boxing. There's a lot more events going on everywhere, so you needed more boxers. Same thing with wrestling. There was 20 times the wrestlers there are now because there was jobs for all of them. So same deal.
And Muhammad Ali made boxing pretty fucking famous around this time too. It was a pretty big deal.
But it was huge before that, though. Friday night fights, and boxing was really, really, really in the DNA of America for the last 65 years probably at this point. Sure. Jack Dempsey and Joe Louis and Marciano, and there's always somebody. So Floyd Patterson, but Ali made it like he mixed wrestling in with it. That was the thing, and he said he watched Gorgeous George. He saw that, and he saw the way a promo could get people into the building. He saw if you talk some shit and you were a colorful character, you could get people to buy tickets to you.
Sure. Because either they want to see you win or they want to see you lose horribly. Either way, they're buying a ticket. That's great.
That's it. It's the same shit. You bought it. Who cares?
God damn it, he's a genius.
It's fucking genius.
Behind the closed doors of government offices and military compounds, there are hidden stories and buried secrets from the darkest corners of history. From covert experiments pushing the boundaries of science to operations so secretive they were barely whispered about. Each week, on Redacted, Declassified Mysteries, we pull back the curtain on these hidden histories. 100% true and verifiable stories that expose the shadowy underbelly of power. Consider Operation Paperclip, where former Nazi scientists were brought to America after World War II, not as prisoners, but as assets to advance U.S. intelligence during the Cold War. These aren't just old conspiracy theories. They're thoroughly investigated accounts that reveal the uncomfortable truths still shaping our world today. The stories are real. The secrets are shocking. Follow Redacted, Declassified Mysteries on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to Redacted early and ad-free right now on Wondery Plus.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this White Zinfandel.
Well, good. Now put it down. I'm going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles.
A big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud.
Sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
With a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.
And so Tomasetti here, it's a unanimous decision, all 6 rounds, and he wins it, though. Chuck does. Okay. He's 5-2-2. Next up, the Westchester County Center in April of 1966 in White Plains, New York. I was just at that airport recently. Versus Cleo Daniels, who is 7-13-1. Jesus Christ. And Daniels is a last-minute substitute, by the way, too, so he wasn't even supposed to be there.
Get her off the call-in line.
He wasn't even some shit.
Look, from predicting people's future.
Hello there. I predict I punch you in the face. So
I miss those commercials. They
fantastic. Were great. They were entertaining as shit. I don't know. So and it's not offensive if you're imitating an actual individual.
An actual person.
So go fuck yourselves and your mothers, everybody. With whatever implement you can find. I don't really give a fuck. So anyway, he wins this fight on points in 6 rounds. It goes all 6, wins by points. 6-2-2 for Chuck. He's on a tear. Okay. Chuck's on a tear. Next up in August of 1966 in Scranton, Pennsylvania. The motherland. There it is, everybody. That's where it all comes. The land of milk and honey. Scranton, Pennsylvania. Versus it's Johnny Dooch, but I mean, it's so great that he's Johnny Dooch. Douche.
Is it Dutch or is it douche?
It's Deutsch. Deutsch.
Oh, for Christ's sake, that is douche.
Deutsch. You'd call it. 9-2-0 he is coming in. Chuck gets a TKO in the last round here, the 6th round, right before the bell, and he's 7-2-2. He's moving on up here.
Got himself a knockout, though. That's awesome.
Yeah, TKO. Next up in, October of 66 at Madison Square Garden, he fights Dave Centi. Hey, over here.
There's a lot of Italians in this sport.
In the Northeast boxing? Really? In the 60s? Yeah, that's
crazy.
Yeah, real weird. This all a bunch of guys going, I'm going to be the next Rocky Marciano. Maybe not.
Maybe not as good as I thought. That Italian was tougher than me, that's all.
That's the toughest fucking guinea we ever had. Okay, fine. I'm going to be the next Jake LaMotta. Fuck, no, not that either. Damn it. Tough. So Dave Centi's 11-9-0, so he's not perfect here. And this goes all 6 rounds. Chuck wins on points. He is 8-2-2. Next up in 67, January 67, he fights at the Catholic Youth Center in Scranton.
Oh, boy.
Oh, buddy. Versus Lou Hicks. And his nickname is Louis George. What is it with George being a nickname? It's not a nickname. Why George?
George is a tough name, I guess.
It's not Sugar, like a lot of guys have been Sugar over the years, but George? What does George imply?
What happened back then?
I don't know. I'd go Butch before George, wouldn't you? Back then? I'm Butch Wisman. I'm going to kick your ass. That's tougher than George. George is McFly. George McFly. That's not a tough... I mean, I don't know. Whatever. It's George Foreman.
George.
George
what was
Foreman.
George then? Was George? He wasn't fighting yet, right? Not in the 60s.
Soon.
Yeah.
He's coming soon. We'll find out here.
Right.
So anyway, he's 6-9-0. Old Louis George, Lou Hicks. Chuck beats him, unanimous decision, all 6 rounds. 9-2-2 for the Chuckster here.
It's respectable.
Better than I could do. April 28th, 67 at the Armory in Jersey City. Yeah, buddy. You can see Manhattan. It's right fucking there.
It's right there.
Literally, you're on the shore. Versus Don McAteer. Yeah, McAteer. 19-8-2, the McAteer is. And he TKOs old McAteer in the 7th round. And McAteer, again, a last-minute substitute, though. So... Really? When you have that, a guy who's not been training for you and, not sparring with people who are similar to you, not too impressive. So 10-2-2 for him, for Chuck. Next up, Madison Square Garden, he fights Jerry Tomasetti again.
Again. Is that the 3rd?
Jesus Christ, man. Yeah, I think it's a trilogy with Tomasetti now. He's 8-4-0 coming in. He gets TKO'd in the 5th, though.
Oh, no.
Doesn't go off his feet, but the ref stops the fight.
Okay.
So he's still, in his entire career, has never been knocked down. In amateurs, pros, never been knocked off his feet. He's one of those guys. So, but he loses TKO in the 5th round, so now he's 10-3-2. Next up, November of 67, he fights at the Plaza Arena in Secaucus, New Jersey. Oh boy. I'm in the weeds. That bank job are out in Secaucus, right? So I'm in the weeds. I'm lying there. And I go, never mind. I won't do the whole Goodfellas thing. But
Old Secaucus.
Old Secaucus. I just remember that was always WOR, the TV station, was always from Secaucus, New Jersey. I'd be like, why? I was like, why are they there?
Stop bragging.
For what?
You're not bragging.
No, this is Charlie the Emperor Harris.
Hell yeah.
The Emperor.
Not bad.
He's going to rule upon you.
Like a scorpion.
So far, he has all of his rulings have come down to a 1-2-1 record.
Oh,
the Emperor.
You're not ruling anything.
The Emperor. This is a terrible record for an emperor.
He's an emperor of one man so far.
Jesus. Is he fucking Nero? He's not doing great. The city's burned twice. That's not good. I understand. I get it.
We put it out twice, and we got control of one man.
What we've shown is we have the ability to put it out. That's the important thing. Let's focus on the positives.
We're coming around. Emperor come around.
Anyway, Emperor come around. We're TKO here, win for Chuck in the 6th round. He's 11-3-2 now. Next up, again, the Plaza Arena in Secaucus, New Jersey. He fights Clay Thomas, whose full boxing name is Showboat Clayton Thomas.
Hell yeah.
Here we go. That's a name. That's a pretty for the 60s. They got to be that's not bad. At least it's not just like, big guy or some shit like that, as a lot of them were.
Sparkling.
Yeah. So he's 15-10-3, this guy coming in, and Chuck TKOs him in the third round.
How about
which
that?
Thomas was knocked down twice, and the ref called it off. So he beat this guy into submission. Very good. 12-3-2. Next up in Walpole, in Massachusetts, in April of 68, he fights Eddie Vick.
Okay.
You know what Eddie Vick's nickname is?
No.
Not George.
Dick?
Johnny. What is wrong with these people?
Doing?
I get that it's the 60s. They're not real into marketing yet, but for fuck's sake, look around. Look on boxing posters. Maybe they did. They saw George a bunch of times, and they were like, oh, let's go with Johnny. I always like that.
I guess nicknames are just other people's names.
I suppose. So 11-11-3 is old Eddie Vick, and this fight goes the whole 10 rounds now. It's a split decision.
Damn it.
Not even unanimous, but Chuck wins it. So 13-3-2 against that was against a 500 fighter, though. That's not great. Next up, Secaucus, New Jersey. Again, he fights Mike Bruce, who's 7-12-1 coming in. Mm-hmm. Goes all 8 rounds. Mike, quote, Bruce Roberts. So he is, this fight goes all 8 rounds, wins on points, 14-3-2. Next up, Madison Square Garden. He fights Forrest Ward, 4-0-2. Coming in, this guy was. Ward gets knocked down 3 times in the 7th, triggering the 3 knockdown rule, and that was in effect.
Good night.
TKO, 15-3-2 for Chuck. Next up, the Catholic Youth Center again in Scranton. The draw of the Catholic Youth Center. Never underestimate it.
And recently, now that place sounds fucking horrific.
Oh, God. Versus Mert Brownfield.
Okay.
Mert. M-E-R-T.
He couldn't find a nickname better than Mert?
I think his name's probably Merton, which if your name is Merton, you need a nickname as a boxer, period. Mert isn't cutting it. Mert Brownfield, 9-12 he is coming in. And this fight goes all 8 rounds, but a decision win for Chuck, 16-3-2. Next up, Felt Forum. He fights Jerry Tomasetti.
That's his favorite person to fight.
Stop fighting Jerry Tomasetti. Well, he lost last time to him, so now he wants to get even.
Nobody's clamoring for this.
He is 15-6 for Tomasetti now. This fight, TKO in the first round. Chuck beats his ass.
Really?
Chuck has had enough of Tomasetti's bullshit.
He's figured out how to fight you, sir.
He has had enough and not taking it anymore. He's gonna whoop your ass.
Don't come back, you hear?
You hear that? Get out of here, you son of a bitch and guinea. Go. Go back to your tomato sauce and your eggplant, you fucking dirty, greasy bastard. Dago, move.
Done with you.
Kicked him out of the ring. So he's 17-3-2. Next up, Felt Forum, which is at Madison Square Garden. It's the 5,000 side room, baby. This is March of 68. He fights, or 69, I'm sorry, not 68. He fights Robert Davila, I guess you'd call it. Davila, who goes by, I was distracted by his nickname. Yeah. This is a nickname, El Grandazo di Circuilo. That's I don't know what that means, but that means something big, and it's better than
what's the middle name?
Way better than George.
What's the last word? Circuilo?
El Grandazo di Circuilo.
Circuilo. Is that the big circle?
I fucking know what it is. How the hell do I know? I just said I don't know what it is. It could be the big cactus for all I know. I have no idea.
It might be.
It might be, but it's a better name than George. I'll just say that. 20-11-0 here for him. So he's 20.
It might be the big circus, James.
Maybe. I mean, there's a lot of people that speak Spanish that are probably.
They already know, and they're going,
you fucking morons. Do not post about it. We will know.
I've already Googled. Leave me alone.
The instant when you hear it, we already know. We already know. Don't say, I know you already know. We already know. That's what we're saying it. It's like saying, are you hungry? No. Well, I made you dinner anyway. I said I'm not. I know you said you're not hungry, but here's a big meal. Well, I don't want a big meal because I'm not hungry. Thank you. Okay. So anyway, he beats El Grandazo di Circuilo, 18-3-2 now for Chuck. It's a decision. Next up, back in Secaucus, New Jersey, which sounds like a punishment, versus Mike Bruce. What's his last? Yeah, Mike Bruce.
Is it the same guy?
Is it Mike? No, Forrest Ward. Mike Bruce. Yeah, Mike Bruce. Here he is again.
Bruce too.
Mike Bruce was 7-12-1 going into the last fight.
Yeah.
He has not won a fight since. He now has 19 losses. He's been getting beat up for the last year and a half. Yeah, getting the shit beaten out of him. Chuck beats him here again on points, and he's 19-3-2. Next up, they're in San Juan, Puerto Rico at Hiram Bithorn Stadium, which is where I believe the Blue Jays played a few weird like regular season games there once in a while down in Puerto Rico to see if that was viable, like back in the 80s. He fights Jose Roman, who's known as King. That's better. King Jose Roman. That's or the Roman King. I don't know what the fuck he's going with, but 25-1, 20 wins, 5 losses, 1 draw for him. Goes all 10 rounds, this one does, with Chuck, and it's a loss, though, on points. 19-4-2. Next up, he fights a young guy, 3-0 he is coming in, Madison Square Garden in August of 1969. Young guy you might have heard of later on, George Foreman here. This is his 4th fight, George Foreman.
Oh, boy.
Just known as Big George back then.
Is that it?
That's it, Big George, but his name's George, so I'll let that one slide.
Damn good name.
Yeah, not bad.
That's exactly
this fight,
what he is.
Chuck gets TKO'd in the 3rd round.
Of course he does.
There's no shame in that. This guy would go on to fucking be 41-0 or something before he fought Ali.
You took cinder blocks from George Foreman? I give you all the credit, sir. That is incredible.
You got in there with him. That's more than I'm doing. So
I wouldn't do it today.
No, fuck that. No, I don't care how old he is. I'm not fighting him. All he has to do is catch you once. You got to get close to him.
No, brain damage forever.
Yeah, old or not, he'll fucking knock you out. So 19-5-2 for Chuck. Next up, Felt Forum. Again, he fights Pedro Augusto, who is known as, his nickname is Schoolboy Augusto Ortiz. Mm-hmm. He just picked a different last name.
He just fixed it all.
Made his last name his first name. And then picked a different last name, and then called himself Schoolboy. I don't know what the fuck's going on here.
Not bad.
Not bad. He's 21. He's 20-1 though. So I mean, 20 wins, 1 loss. Chuck beats him by unanimous decision.
Wow.
10 and fucking all 10 rounds, unanimous decision. This is a big fight for Chuck. It really is, and it makes him 25-2. So 20 wins.
After 27 fights, he's already fought more rounds than Tyson will ever fight combined.
Forever. Yeah, almost every fight goes the distance.
He has got to be in a lot of trouble right now and probably has no clue.
And he doesn't for a long time. That's the other thing, too. Like we said, his defense is not,
not there. Yeah.
Spectacular. He puts his head in there. You want to hit me, then I get to hit you. That's how it works. So, I mean, this is a lot of blows to the head to be taken. So he fights 1970, January of 70, Manuel Ramos, who is Pulgarcito.
What is that?
I think that means you're a good fighter. I think it's something to do with pugilist, probably.
Okay.
Just by the pulge in the beginning of it, I'm going to say. I'm going to go by the root word and take a wild fucking guess, but maybe little fighter or something.
Yeah.
But Cito, so, but, but I don't know because he's a heavyweight. I don't know. He's 22-9-2. There you go. Fuck, I don't know shit about Spanish.
I do love anybody trying to decipher a Spanish word based on just its
root
appearance.
Words?
Yeah.
Well, I also look at, do I know, does this correlate to an Italian word that I know?
Right.
Is the first thing I go to. That doesn't work. Then I go, okay, is there like a Latin root to this? Because I'll try to figure that out, what that is. No, who knows?
It could mean tiny dancer. We don't know.
Maybe it does. That would be amazing.
Wouldn't that be great if his name is Tiny Dancer?
Manuel the Tiny Dancer Ramos, a.k.a. George. That would be perfect.
Just comes into Elton John songs.
That's it, over and over again. So this fight goes all 10 rounds again. Unanimous decision win for the Chuckster again here. 21-5-2.
All right.
Now, next up, he gets a huge fight for him. A huge fight against a guy who's well past his prime here. June 29th, 1970, at the Armory in New Jersey, he fights Sonny Liston.
Is that right?
Yes. Now, Sonny Liston is in his late, I think he's 38 years old at this point. it's over for Sonny Liston. I mean, he is fucking well past his prime. Ali beat him 5 years ago. I mean, it was, or 6 years ago. It was that long ago. It was a fucking long time.
In the early 60s, huh?
65, I think that fight was, or 66 possibly at the latest. I mean, because Ali was in the Olympics in 64, right?
Okay.
So
I don't know.
Would make sense.
I love Ali, but time frames escape me entirely. If I wasn't there, I got no fucking chance of remembering it. No way.
I don't remember shit. So Liston is 49-4-0.
Wow.
Even
he
washed up.
It.
Oh yeah, he was a bad motherfucker. And Liston is he's known as one of the heaviest, hardest punching guys that's ever existed in the history of boxing. And after this fight, Wepner will need 72 stitches in his face.
What?
72 stitches in his fucking face he'll need.
Did Liston use a knife?
He cut him. Liston went in there and just whipped out a butterfly knife. He started just cut his ass. So
72?
Yeah, and Wepner will say that Liston was by far the hardest puncher he ever fought, even at 38 years old, even fighting a early 20s George Foreman, who was probably hitting like a cannon. An old Liston hit harder, he said.
The man cut you with gloves to the point of 70-plus stitches.
Well, I mean, it doesn't – everybody opens up cuts on Chuck. That's the thing. That's why he's known as the Bayonne Bleeder, and we'll talk about in a second how that came about. This is the fight that gave him the nickname the Bayonne Bleeder.
Okay.
He's always bleeding, but if a guy's really hitting him with hard shots, he's just bleeding more. That's all.
Explodes his face.
Yeah, and I mean, Sonny Liston is by far the most skilled fighter he's ever fought. And, you know, he's a veteran. He was a heavyweight champion. He knows all the tricks of the trade. Yeah. He knows that little parting shot off a break. He knows all those little tricks of the trade that, you know, Chuck is not good at yet, or at all ever, really. So Chuck's 31 at this point. He's no kid either, but
no.
He's still in his physical prime, whereas 38 is on the declining end of that. So, obviously. How do you feel, Jimmy? Great?
Oh, my God. My hands hurt so bad.
Did you feel better 10 years ago?
A little bit.
A little bit. There you go. Fucking end of the argument there. So, Liston is paid $13,000 for this fight, by the way. That's how far he'd fallen. It's at the Armory in New Jersey, so you can't draw a giant crowd for it. It's not like
$13,000.
$13,000 in cash in a brown envelope, by the way.
Hilarious.
That's how Sonny would get paid at this point, because we'll do a Sonny Liston episode. He is the most shit going on, shadiest dude, all sorts of characters, in with the mob. Sonny's a mess. Yeah, we'll talk about him. The end of his life is crazy. Wepner made $3,900, and that's not bad. $3,900 in 1970 is a good amount of money, you know. But I mean, and for him, he's excited to fight Sonny Liston.
Sure.
This fight goes 9 whole rounds of Sonny Liston pounding on his fucking face repeatedly, just beating the living piss out of him. It's absolutely
$4,000 for shy of $4,000.
Yeah, that's it. So at one point between the 8th and 9th round, he says, I'll let Chuck explain it, quote, Barney Felix, the referee that night, came into my corner and asked me how many fingers he had up. Oh. I said, how many guesses do I get? I told him, I'm all right, Barney. Let me go another round. And then he said, quote, so he did. The ref let him go another round. He said, but I couldn't see Liston. All I could see was shadows. His eyes were swollen shut. Wait till you see that. I'll post the picture as one of the social media posts at Crime and Sports on Twitter and Facebook, at Small Town Murder on Instagram. And his fucking face, he doesn't look like he has eyes. He looks like he's some creature from another planet with no eyes.
That's the bravest man on earth.
Oh, he can't see. This is the hardest puncher that he's ever fought against, and he can't see him at all. And he's going to go fight him more.
One more time.
He has no thought of this could hurt me. So
is he having fun? Like what?
He just thinks you just keep fighting until the fight's over. That's it. Doesn't matter. If you can move around, then you can fight. So what are we doing?
What the hell is he doing?
Seeing is important, though, is the problem.
Yeah, in that sport, that's the most important.
It's really, really important. He said, all I could see was shadows. I grazed the referee with a left hook in the next round because he thought he was Liston. He threw a left hook at the ref, and the commissioner jumped up on the ring apron and waved the fight over. So this got called off by the commissioner because was so blind he tried to punch the referee thinking he was Sonny Liston.
The ref didn't call it?
I think he was still like in shock from the wind of fucking a left hook going by. Yeah, this should have been called. If he can't see, how many guesses do I get? Isn't an okay answer
to a terrible answer.
Questioning whether you're in the fucking fight or not. And at this point, there is a Bayonne Times newspaper reporter there, Rosie Rosenberg. And he said, Rosie Rosenberg gave me the nickname. He was sitting in the second row from ringside. He had a white shirt on, and there was blood splattered all over him.
I was just going to say, what did he get hit with his blood?
Yep.
And he did.
The Bayonne Bleeder was alive
shit,
at that point.
He took home the man's blood.
All over him. So he is 21-6-2 at this point after getting pummeled by Liston. Now, after this fight, Liston wanted to fight more. He actually was trying to line up a fight with Jerry Quarry, who was a big star for a long time here. But this ends up being Sonny Liston's last fight because he's dead 6 months later.
Oh, my God. What?
Sonny's dead 6 months later no one knows still how Sonny Liston died. It's the biggest mystery in the world. There's a whole FBI. When we do the Sonny Liston episode, we'll get into it because there's a whole FBI file on him because he was involved with mob shit, and he is. Did he have a lot going on, Sonny Liston?
Wow.
It's kind of like one of those things where it looks like a drug overdose, but they don't think it's a drug overdose. They think it was like a murder, and who knows?
Shocking.
It's a lot, and we'll let Chuck talk about it. Chuck says, quote, "They say Sonny was involved with some, how shall I put it, shady characters, and maybe that's why he was murdered. To be honest, I don't want to come across as uncaring. I don't know what happened to him, and I don't particularly care. They say he died of a drug overdose, yet he was afraid of needles. I don't know. That's the." No one knows what the fuck happened to Sonny Liston still.
And Chuck Chuck just said he was murdered.
Maybe, because people thought he was murdered, but then maybe not. So that's why he said they say he died of it's a question too. They say he died of a drug overdose, yet he was afraid of needles. Like, maybe not. So maybe they murdered him.
The sentence before that, he said he was
maybe
murdered.
that he shady characters and that maybe he was murdered.
Oh,
he
okay.
said,
all right.
Yeah. So he said that. He said, to be honest, I don't know and I don't care. Basically, right. So that's not great. Next up, mixed in here in the early 70s, because he fought Liston, I guess, I don't know, he ends up fighting this bear all the time. Now, do you know anything about the wrestling bear?
I think I have heard of this.
We've talked about him briefly. It's a big thing in the South, in the Southern territories a lot. But he went all over the place, all the territory. Don't get me wrong. There wasn't a territory that was too big for him. But some of the ones were really into the wrestling bear. And he was a fucking bear named Victor. Yeah. And he was this giant fucking bear. And
he was a black bear or a brown bear?
He was declawed. He was not a black bear. They're tiny. Black bears are little. It was a big brown fucking...
Brown or a grizzly? It
was like a 600-pound bear.
Oh,
it was a fucking bear that would stand up and was 8 feet tall. That was the thing.
It was wrestle it?
And you would wrestle it. And it was declawed. And
I don't give a shit. It's not detoothed.
They would muzzle him. He's muzzled and declawed, and they get him all fucking whacked out on pills and shit so he doesn't decide to rip your head off your body. Because he could still rip your head off of your fucking shoulders. It's a bear. So they drug him up and everything like that. It's absolutely cruel as fuck. But they take this bear around all over the place and have it wrestle guys. And there's all sorts of tricks they would play on each other. Like if there was a guy who never wrestled the bear before, somebody'd be like, yeah, have a good match. And he'd like smack him on the ass with some honey on his hand. So the bear would be constantly trying to get at his ass. Yeah, so the bear's constantly trying to get at his ass. And the guy's like, what the fuck? And the bear's trying to stick his head up his ass the whole match. Stuff like that they would do.
I hate this so much. This is so cruel. Not just to the bear, but the person too.
It's a stupid fucking thing. It's really stupid, but it was a really popular thing for quite a long fucking time, many years in wrestling. So it was all over the place, and he was no different.
And
Wepner
fought it.
Wepner fought the bear. Yeah, they did exhibitions with it. Hey, this big boxer's going to fight this bear, and it was some nightclub guy named Artie Stock. He owned the Royal Manor Club in New Jersey, and he offered Wepner to fight the bear for some
cash. He's going to punch the bear?
Well, we'll see here. He said it was for cash. Wepner says, quote, I was told not to hit the bear. Okay, that's good. He said, what should I have done? Tell the bear a story? The bear wanted to kill me. He was like, the fuck am I supposed to do with him then? It's a bear.
So what did he do?
He wanted to fight the bear. He wanted to punch the bear. He thought, like, I'll just go in and punch the bear. Fuck him. Like, which is a stupid thing to think anyway.
This is crazy.
He's better off fighting Sonny Liston while he can't see. Like, that's... He said, I hit the bear with jabs and hooks, and the bear started going crazy. It's a fucking bear, man. Yeah.
You're literally fighting it. You started the fight.
He just said, I punched a bear, and it got pissed off. Like, that's a weird thing. You always hear, like, what to do in the woods if a bear, a fucking mountain lion, some shit like that. You get tall if it's a mountain lion. You do this if it's that. No one ever says if you see a bear, run right up to it, fucking punch it right in the face as hard as you can. Really give it a combination if you can. Left, right. If they see you have skills, they'll get scared and back off. You don't want to look like a pussy. No one has ever said that.
Shadow boxing just pisses them off. You got to make contact.
Yeah, you really got to hit them. So, yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. He had a rematch with him, actually, there a little later on.
Bear 2.
Bear rematch with the bear, yeah. You know, him and the bear, I got to settle the score here. So Wepner said he stepped into the ring, he looked over at Victor, and he saw that it was a different bear.
Yeah.
He said, no, that's right. This is a different one. He turned over to his manager and he says, quote, he remembers me. I can tell.
He smells me.
He said, I got in the ring and he looked at me. He goes, oh, shit, he wants to kick my ass. He said, quote, but Al said, forget it. There's no way a bear can remember you. And he said, quote, he did it and he knew what I do. And he knew what I would do. I had to change my tactics. So now he says, not only does the bear remember him, is like pissed off at him, but the bear's going to go, oh, he comes in with the left first. And then he tries to circle around and then pop me with the jab. I got to cut him off. The bear now has been doing film work and fucking...
Bear's like, he drops his shoulder at that hook. I'm coming after him.
Yeah. If I cut him off when he throws to throw that left, I think I could probably get shot in.
Overhand declawed right.
Yeah, that's how it works. He said the bear had done his homework for the rematch.
Wepner's dumb.
That is ridiculous. Turns out it wasn't the same bear. It was a different bear. That's why he said the look on his face is different, like he's pissed off this time. Just a different bear. He can't tell bears apart. So September of 70, he's at where is this? Empire Pool in Wembley. It's not in England, so I think it's probably in New Jersey, I'm going to say. He fights Joe Bugner, who's 26-2-0. So that's not bad. This is a third round loss.
Ouch.
But it's only because it stopped after the third round because Chuck has such a terrible cut over his eye. They stopped the fight. So he didn't quit or get knocked out. He just, it was too bloody to continue. That's Chuck for you. So 21-7-2 for Chuck. Next up, back at the Catholic Youth Center in Scranton in January of 71 versus Jerry Judge. Jerry Judge, who's 11-1-1. So 1-1-1-1 for him. And this one is another loss for Chuck.
Is it almost over?
Well, it stopped in the fifth round because it's cuts. It stopped with cuts again. He's bleeding all over the place, and they fucking stop it. So he even waited like 4 months for this fight, but he's got so much scar tissue at this point. Every time somebody hits him, he just bursts open again. Right. It's fucking silly. So now he's 21-8-2.
Oh, boy.
He takes, about 8 months off here. I guess to heal. To heal his face. Otherwise, it's just going to burst open again. He's going to lose anyway. So September of 71, he's fighting at the Embassy Hall in North Bergen, New Jersey.
Oh, boy.
Yikes. Versus Jesse Crown, who's 21-10-1, and he knocks Crown out in the fourth round. Straight KO, 22-8-2.
He was hip-hop's biggest mogul, the man who redefined fame, fortune, and the music industry.
The first male rapper to be honored on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, Sean Diddy Combs.
Diddy built an empire and lived a life most people only dream about.
Everybody know ain't no party like a Diddy party, so.
Yeah, that's what's up.
But just as quickly as his empire rose, it came crashing down.
Today I'm announcing the unsealing of a 3-count indictment, charging Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, interstate transportation for prostitution.
I was up. I hit rock bottom, but I made no excuses. I'm disgusted. I'm so sorry.
Until you're wearing an orange jumpsuit, it's not real.
Now it's real.
From his meteoric rise to his shocking fall from grace, from law and crime, this is the rise and fall of Diddy. Listen to the rise and fall of Diddy exclusively with Wondery Plus.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this White Zinfandel.
Well, good. Now put it down. I'm going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles.
A big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud.
Sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
With a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.
So next up at the Embassy Hall again, this is the next month in 71 here, October, he fights Mike Boswell. Mike Boswell's nickname?
Yeah, the Boz.
No?
George.
Jim, which is the least exciting nickname in the history of the world. Jim. Remember Blazing Saddles? But my friends call me Jim because it's boring. That's the point. Jim. Mike Jim Boswell. Great. Thanks. Fuck my life.
He has so many options.
So anything, literally anything. Pick an animal, pick a fucking occupation, pick a thing that you do, pick a force that you are, an act of nature. You can pick the tornado. You can be anything you want.
Anything.
Anything. Verb it up. Fuck it. Instead, Jim. This guy sucks. He's 13-4, and thank fuck Chuck knocks him out or TKOs him in the 10th round. Good. Yeah. Take that, Jim. 23-8-2 for Chuck. Next up, Embassy Hall, North Bergen. He fights Randy Newman. He's very upset with his annoying songs, and he can't take him anymore.
He will not be his friend.
I don't love L.A. How do you think of that, Randy? Huh? What do you think of that, you son of a bitch bastard? I'll kill you. Get back here, you curly-haired motherfucker. You fat shit.
Your face is the equivalent of your songs.
Fuck my life. You look like a giant pedophile. Get over here, you fat bastard. So Randy Newman, 17-1 before switching to his music career, right? I guess. Yeah, 17-1.
Pixar contract.
Yeah, that's what happens, man. You're done with boxing. You got to find something to do. This is for the USA New Jersey heavyweight title.
Really?
He's going to be the champion of New Jersey. Which is
champ.
Really what he was anyway. He could have just done what he was doing. He was the champ of New Jersey. Randy Newman could come to the bar and act up if he wants to see if he can beat him. So this fight goes all 12 rounds, and Chuck loses on points.
Oh, no.
To a 17-1 fighter. And then Randy Newman stands over him and sings a terrible song. With that fucking voice.
That's a professional singer. That's crazy. He has a speech impediment. What are we doing?
I mean, that's an affect. He just does that in the song.
Really?
And I don't yeah, it's to fucking sound like he's like cutesy, which makes me think he's a big doughy pedophile. I can't help it. Allegedly. Not legally binding. I don't know. Whatever.
Feels. That's how it feels. Makes me feel.
It's how you make me feel, Randy. Like you're going to look for my kid's ball sack and tickle it.
Crazy that's how he sounds, and it's a hit.
The guy's got so much money, Jimmy. It's ridiculous.
I know.
So much money. Oh, God.
What have we done?
What have we done as a society? How have we elevated this man?
We've made that guy rich.
Randy Newman. So Randy Newman beats him, like I said, on points. He's 23-9-2, loses the New Jersey heavyweight title. That's got to be a real blow to him. He wants to be the champ of New Jersey. Next up, though, a few months later, in April of 72, at the Armory in Jersey City, He's got Randy Newman back again. Here it is. This is for the title again. And this time goes all 12 rounds, and he beats him on points this time.
Right.
Chuck wins it. He's the champion of New Jersey. And Bon Jovi and Bruce Springsteen are running into his arms, and they're all dancing around.
Very blue-collar night.
Those are the only people from New Jersey, is Chuck Wepner, John Bon Jovi, and Bruce Springsteen, by the way.
And Tony Soprano.
Everyone else, that's a fictional character. Everyone else not from New Jersey.
I got news for you, James. John Bon Jovi, also a fictional character. There is nothing genuine about that fucking douche.
No, I think his name's John Bon Jovi, though.
That might be true.
I think it is.
Everything
it's
else
the only
about
other
him
thing.
is fucking bullshit.
That's the only other thing.
He ain't a cowboy. I bet he doesn't even ride a motorcycle.
If he does, there's like streamers coming off the handles. You know what I mean? Like an 8-year-old girl's bike.
Rainbow.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like in the wind flapping behind him.
Pink and white ones with glitter all over them.
Yeah, something fancy. I'm not sure, but it's nothing down and dirty, probably.
Yeah, something fancy for an 8-year-old girl.
Fancy for an 8-year-old girl. So December of 72, not 82, he's at Marist High School Gym in Bayonne.
No.
He's at a high school gym in Bayonne defending his title here.
Jesus.
John Clohessy, Clohessy. He's 14-3, John Clohessy. This fight, all 10 rounds again. The amount of rounds Chuck Wepner's fought.
It's
heavyweight fights.
Yeah.
And like I said, his style is not one of a lot of dancing and not a lot of hitting. He comes in and just lets you hit him in the face, man. It's wild.
Boy. Perhaps Randy Newman got famous by just imitating Wepner's voice after all these rounds. Maybe that's just how Wepner talks.
Now after he's been punched in the face for 12 rounds. He still talks like this, and he's kind of dumb, you know. But
after 20 years.
All of this shit. So, he's the champion of New Jersey. He's fighting John Close. He beats him on points, 25-10-2 now for him. 25-10-2. Yeah, that's correct. 25-9-2. He's doing well. Okay, March 15th, 1973. He fights at the Embassy Hall in North Bergen, fights Bill Marquardt.
Yikes.
Marquardt. That's a tough name to say.
A librarian's name.
10-4-2 coming into this fight. The referee here, I noticed, is Dick Worley, who is a wrestling referee for years, forever.
Really?
Absolutely. He does a lot of WWF events in the Northeast, and which means he's a licensed by. It was the State Boxing and Wrestling Commission, is what it was called. So he was licensed by that, probably for both. So anyway, he wins this fight and goes all 12 rounds. Chuck wins on points, 26-10-2. Okay. So he said, basically, he's been bleeding in all these fights, by the way. He says, but they ask him, like, well, you know, don't you want to stop a fight when you're bleeding? And he said, when I get cut, I'd be in the corner and I'd say to Al, can you see the back of my head through it? If he said he couldn't, then I'd keep on fighting.
Well, no, you can't. You got a skull in the way, you dummy.
Al should ask you, can you see the other fighter? Do you see him?
Out of your giant eyes and waterfall of fucking blood.
Quick, which one's the ref and which one's your opponent? Real fast. Point to the one
Real
that's
fast.
not. The one you're supposed to hit. Tell me. Next up, he fights Ernie Terrell. This is June 23rd, 1973. Fighting Ernie Terrell in Atlantic City. Ernie Terrell's 46-7.
Wow.
That's an experienced fighter, and it goes all 12 rounds, and I'll be damned if Chuck doesn't beat him on points.
Is that right?
Would you look at that? 27-10-2 for the Chuckster. He's doing all right here.
And that was a great fighter. Well, at
not
least
bad.
A good one.
Yeah, it seems like he's probably at the end of his career, but still a guy with the skills enough to beat you.
Yeah.
Sonny Liston kicked his ass when he was old. So January 17th, 1974, the North Bergen place again here, the Embassy, whatever the hell. He fights Billy Williams. Yeah, the Embassy Suites right there in the lobby. He fights Billy Williams, the Cubs Hall of Fame slugger, Billy Williams.
Later he'll start inserting his middle name.
Yeah.
After he gets into that goddamn Star Wars.
You know how it goes.
Billy D.
I know. He's a fighter. He's a ball player. He's got it all. I was laughing at it. I wasn't questioning. He was 7-5-1, Billy D, coming into this fight. This is a win on points again for Chuck. Goes all 10 rounds. 28-10-2 for Chuck. Next up, March 8th, 1974, at Madison Square Garden versus Randy Newman again.
Oh, my God.
Randy will be performing a full concert of all of his Pixar hits and then fighting Chuck Wepner at the end of it. That's how this is working. It's pretty cool. Here, he fights Randy Newman. This is a TKO win in the 6th round. Apparently, they bashed heads into each other. It was an accidental headbutt. One went one way, one went the other. And they were both cut, but Newman was bleeding worse, so they stopped the fight and
shit.
Gave it to Chuck. There you go. The referee, Arthur Mercante Sr., who was around forever, I think his son is a ref, too. He refereed the bout. And afterwards, he had to throw his shirt out because it was a blue shirt to begin with, and it was soaked in blood. So he had to, soaked in blood. He said, quote, Wepner, as we all know, was the consummate bleeder. This is the referee, mind you. Every fight he was in, there was a sea of red. Well, this fight was no different. I stopped it in the 7th. Well, Chuck started screaming at me. He said, how could you stop it? I'm not bleeding that much.
My shirt's purple, man.
I said, Chuck, I'm stopping it because Newman is actually bleeding more than you.
Oh.
Wepner won the fight because he assumed his cuts were worse. That's why. So there you go.
That's incredible.
How hilarious is that? What are you doing? I'm fine. No, he's fucked up. Oh, all right.
This is only a little bit.
It's only a little bit. 29-10-2 for Chuck at this point. So anyway, yeah, he's in North Bergen on May 23rd, 74, and he beat somebody by TKO, some ham and egger here. 30-10-2 now for Chuck. He fights September 3rd, 74, Salt Lake City. He's branching out. He fights, going all the way out to the Salt Palace in Salt Lake City. Terry Hinkie, who's 36-3-1.
Oh.
Look at that. He knocks Hinkie down 3 times in the 11th for a TKO.
Done deal.
Look at that. 31-10-2. Next up, out of nowhere, he gets a phone call saying, how'd you like to fight the champ?
What?
Muhammad Ali had just won the title again, and he just gets out of nowhere, gets offered to fight Muhammad Ali. He was fighting in North Bergen, you know.
He was fighting at the Salt Flats a minute ago.
Yeah, he's fighting Randy Newman, arguing, thinking he's losing to Randy Newman. Meanwhile, now the champ of the fucking world, the best fighter in the world, now wants to fight him. So, yeah, this according to the Cleveland Plain Dealer, they had a big article. A guy named Carl Lombardo invested $1.3 million to finance the fight. Wow. That's all it cost to finance the fight back then, first of all, which is hilarious for a major heavyweight fight.
For a Muhammad Ali fight.
Yep. Ali was guaranteed $1.5 million for the fight, and Chuck Wepner was guaranteed $100,000.
It's a big payday.
They said that was more than probably more than he's earned in all of his fights combined at this point.
Unbelievable.
By far. This is his big payday. And they said he needed no coaxing at all. He was all in from the second he heard about it.
Unbelievable.
He went up to the Catskills to train for 8 weeks, get in shape. Al Braverman is his trainer and cut man.
Yeah.
He gets a lot of work as a cut man.
Busy fella. Yeah.
He's a busy fella. And his manager, too. And his manager, Bill Present, said that he thinks the match is going to be a big surprise here. He said, this is the only time Chuck's ever been able to train full-time since the Sonny Liston fight.
Is that right?
Every other fight he works. He has to make a living. He's got a family now. He's got a wife and kid. He's got stuff going on. So he has to work. So he doesn't get to train. He goes in at night to the gym and whatever, but he's not living that all day, every day training thing that big-time heavyweight fighters do.
What it takes to fight the fucking champ.
Yeah. What Muhammad Ali is doing. Muhammad Ali's not going to work at a liquor store in the morning and then training at night here. He's getting ready for a fight. So they said that, maybe he's going to fucking be able to do it. We think maybe he can do it. He would spend his, day and night working out, doing his thing here. Before the match, a reporter asked Wepner if he thought he could survive in the ring with Ali, and he said, I've been a survivor my whole life. If I survive the Marines, I can survive Ali.
Well, that's confident.
Fair enough. He said, they said that this was, for some reason, everyone was questioning why the fuck did Ali pick this guy? Because he just wanted to beat up some ham and egger who was like a easy target who'd stand there and let you punch his face. That's pretty much what he thought.
For another win? Is that why?
Yeah, because he had just won the title again from George Foreman, so now he wanted a nice, easy match where he could pick up an easy $1.5 million. Sure. This is what fighters do. I mean, it's how you make your living. But everyone was like, what the fuck? Every article is like, not Ali's going to fight this underdog. It's this is a fucking joke. Ali's fighting he's fighting some club bum. Don't fucking watch it. They're stealing your money. This is garbage. This is, it was all negative shit. That nobody was like, this young, he has a shot, man.
Yeah.
Because he's a journeyman. He's got 10 fucking losses against nobodies. I mean, what the fuck? He's only fought 2 really good fighters. So let's do an In Their Own Words and let Chuck describe what he thinks his chances are in this fight here. Because it's pretty fucking good shit. So let's give Chuck an In Their Own Words. In their own words, quote, the way I figure it, this is my chance to set everything straight. I'm getting my chance to make up for 11 years of being made fun of. Let them laugh. I'm not bitter. I've been getting the short end of the stick for years. I've been blackballed and ignored. The garden shafts me because my manager doesn't get along with them. All I know is that every other guy in the top 10 is subsidized or supported by a syndicate or somebody else. All they have to do is train. I do everything on my own. I'm a family man and I hold down a steady job and I'm in the gym, up and running in my spare time. I'll admit I was stunned when Ali mentioned me. This is a chance of a lifetime, one I thought I'd never get. But listen, I'll be popular. People will like my style. I'm always moving in. Most heavyweights get inside and all they do is hold and maul. I like to fight inside. If Clay fights me like he did Foreman laying on the ropes, I'll kill him. Maybe, just maybe, I'll have the last laugh.
Clay. Oh, he hit him in the nuts right there.
Yeah, he called him Clay there, which he never does again. I don't know if that was a slip. It's not a political thing for him because back then that was what people would do if they were, if they didn't like Ali, they'd call him Clay. Right. But I don't think that's what he was getting at because later on he'll say, probably habit, I think. Maybe. But by then you should know to call him Ali. I don't fucking know. Whatever. Doesn't matter at this point. It was fucking 45 years ago. I have no idea. 47 years ago.
So call him Muhammad Ali. I will call him Muhammad Ali.
Call him Muhammad Ali. God damn it, it's a free country. The man wants to be called Muhammad Ali. I call the man Muhammad Ali. So, God damn it, it's a free country. I love that so much. So he said, he thinks he has a shot at him. Later on, he has nothing but praise for Ali, by the way, later on when he talks about him. He says, I know everyone has expected me to get cut to ribbons. That's fine. I hope they all underestimate me, Clay especially, because I don't honestly think he'll take me too seriously, which means he won't train as hard. And if he comes in a little bit out of shape, he's in trouble. Then he says, I'm going to win.
Okay.
Whatever you're snorting, I'd like some, please.
That's a solid.
Wow.
He's out on a limb for sure.
I'm going to win.
It's a shaky one.
It's precarious as shit, and it's breezy out, too. And there's a good chance I'm going to knock him out. I'm catching him at the right time of his career. He doesn't move in the ring anymore, especially in the late rounds.
He's literally knocked out like 3 people.
None of them were Muhammad Ali.
Not one of them.
Not one of them is the greatest. So
I've literally never heard of any of them.
That is pretty fucking ridiculous, honestly. Yeah. That's silly. And, Ali is, Jesus Christ, I don't care if he's, even in his waning years, he was still amazing.
James. Today, incredible. I'm not going to fight him.
His last fight, he beat George Foreman.
Right.
In this era. So, what
and
are you talking
Foreman
about?
Crushed you at the beginning of his career.
Yeah, before even any skills. Yeah. He just beat you up on fucking instinct.
Muhammad Ali's corpse could kick my ass.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
For sure.
100%. Even when he was fucking at his sickest, he'd still kick your ass. Yeah. And mine. I'm not saying you.
It's a bad man.
Not an insult to you. So Chuck, though, he's married. He has 3 kids. He's a liquor salesman.
Oh, God.
He reps a liquor company and sells liquors.
Yeah.
He sells liquor. He's never been knocked down, though, in his whole career. Amateur, pro, 112 fights, never been knocked down. He says, quote, they never knocked me down. I've never been off my feet. I've never been dizzy. I've never been hurt.
Even with all the blood loss?
He said, I'm a bleeder for sure, but look, I'm Polish-German, so I got fair skin, and when I bleed, it shows up more. That's all.
Okay.
Shows up more? What are you talking? Yeah, white out. It's still blood. Yeah. We see how much is dripping onto the canvas. We can tell how much anyone's bleeding. It's pretty, even if the person is bright red or the color of blood, I don't know. He says, another thing people overlook is that I haven't lost in about 3 years. I took 5 months off and I had my eyes scraped. They removed all the scar tissue and grafted new skin over it.
You can do that?
I guess that was a thing. He got scar tissue removed and had skin grafted on top of it. So I guess
eyes scraped.
Otherwise, he couldn't fight because his eyes would just open up. And my manager came up with some kind of brine. I don't know what it's made of, but it sure stinks. And I've been soaking my face in it, and it's toughened the skin. Okay. He got scar tissue scraped off, and then he soaks his face in stink brine? What the fuck kind of a goddamn training regimen is this?
Old callus face.
Old fucking callus. Yeah, what is it, a baseball glove? Right. What are we talking about here? Got to work it in with this lotion.
I've been out on the back of my dad's Harley with him, making my face more leather.
So toughen the skin. It's worked. I don't get cut that much anymore. He says, but once you get a rep, it sticks with you. Like he's the guy who gets cut all the time. Yeah. It's like they write a baseball player's a no-hit good field guy, and then he hits 300 for three straight seasons, but they're still calling him a good field no-hit guy.
Okay.
It's true. You get reputations, and your reputation's your reputation. His manager, Braverman, keeps talking about that he's going to win. He says, did you know Chuck's taller than Ali? He is.
Okay.
He said, Chuck's 6'5", and he's got an 18.5-inch neck, and he's got a double heart. I don't think that's a medical term there. I think that's just a...
It's a boxing term?
Yeah, I think that's just a, figurative thing. I don't think he's saying, we took him to the doctor. They said he's got two hearts. It's pretty good.
They went to measure the one. They found another.
He's another Cinderella man from New Jersey, he calls him. He says, do you know John Scarn, the card shark? I'm sorry. Well, he's more than a card shark. He heard Ali's a 7-1 shot, and do you know what he said? He said, I don't care. I'm picking Wepner. John Scarn. That's what he said. Some gambler.
A guy that's looking to make money.
Some gambler doesn't give a shit. He's got extra cash, so he's throwing down on the long shot. Yeah, that happens a lot. I'll take the other side of that. Fuck it. It's a huge thing. Wepner said, quote, okay, it's a long shot. Hell, I'll be the first to admit it, but it ain't impossible. Look, all I got to do is land one big punch. Call it a lucky punch, whatever, I don't care. One is all it takes. Like Al Braverman, the manager, told me. He said, you want to be a millionaire? Then hit him one shot so hard he falls and he stays. He don't get up. You do that, Chucky, and it's gonna make up for a whole lot of hurting.
Okay.
So get in there and knock him out. So then Chuck says, see this? And he grabs his neck and he says, I call this my shock absorber. There are nerves in the back of your neck, see, and they go up to your brain. Those nerves, they're the one that carry the message to your brain that you've just been KO'd. So tell your body to lay down. But I got such a neck, see, my head don't snap back so much when I get punched. So those nerves, they don't get the message. So maybe a guy belts me pretty good, but my brain never gets told. Also, my brain don't listen to nothing. I tried to learn like the alphabet, things like that. That don't stick neither. So either way, but I think, I'll trade it. It's worth the trade-off is what I'm saying.
Dear men who keep getting punched in the face for a living, do not give us a biology lesson. You sound dumb.
That was an insane medical overview of everything there. Thank you, Dr. Chuck Wepner.
See, you got these nerves, right?
They go up. These are the things that tell your brain, oh, you just got the fuck knocked out of you. Fucking, go down on the ground. You know what I'm saying? My brain's like a fucking moron. It don't know nothing. These nerves, they don't tell it nothing. So my brain just is like, hey, I'm keep getting punched. I'm all right. You know what I'm talking about? It's okay.
I'm going to make it.
We're going to do this just fine. So Ali with a straight face, has to sell this fight as an actual challenge for him. Right. He can't say it's a tune-up for something better. He says, quote, Wepner is the U.S. and North American champion. He has a couple of titles. I want to be champion of the whole world, so I got to beat him. You have the world titles. These are lesser than you. That's the silliest thing I've ever heard to say.
Muhammad.
That is the dumbest shit anyone's ever said. I mean, it's a sales job. Yeah. It's the only way you could spin this as a sales job. It's the only way. Yeah. So
he's a big deal. You've got to pump him up to pump your fight up. You've got to make the contender or challenger seem like
I'm
a contender.
Scared of him.
Yeah.
I mean, he could win. I mean, Jesus, I don't know, man.
One punch could be the end of
never
this.
know. He said, "There's still a man who holds part of what ought to be my title in all places America." Can you imagine that? So he's saying, I got to get those titles too. He said Ali said he's gonna look up in my face and realize he's in trouble. I am boxing, not the champion, not just a fighter. I am all of boxing.
He is.
That's great. He said, then they asked him, do you think that Chuck Wepner is representing white America in this heavyweight title, which is such a shitty media, stupid. But in the 70s, I guess it was sort of relevant. Yeah. Ali, and because he's so fucking funny, he says, white America wouldn't pick him in that way. Which is fucking hilarious. Wepner said, I've watched films of his last 4 fights, and I saw that he has only hand speed. That's all he's got left. That's Muhammad Ali's hand speed, which will still kick your ass.
Also, hand speed is fucking everything.
Yeah, you could tie up his legs and make him stand like Hannibal Lecter. If he can hit you in the face, it's still got a good shot.
This is literally boxing. If he had foot speed, then he'd be a runner.
Well, Ali usually did have good foot speed. That was his whole thing. But he said that it's a 15-round fight, as we know, these title fights back then. Wepner said that he has dreams every night that he's going to knock Ali out in the 13th round. So that's his prediction. He says, I see it clearly. Ali goes down, then I go over to Howard Cosell, and I say, believe it, Howard, there it is. And
dreams.
Al Braverman said, I've been telling Chuck over and over that one punch will make you a millionaire. Just go do it. Sky's the limit. You could go from nothing to something. Grace. We're going to call it Grace right here.
He's got his chance.
He's got his chance. It's all open right now. The future is fucking right before his eyes. March 24th, 75, the Richfield Coliseum in Ohio there. Ali is chanting, I'm the champ of the whole world. I can whip any man in the whole world as he's coming to the ring. Yeah. He says he's got nerve to sign a contract to fight with me. I'll throw him down in the ring and stomp on him. It's hard to be humble when you're as great as I am.
All right.
He's doing his thing. Ali's 45-2 at this point. So, obviously he's fucking Muhammad Ali. In the 9th round, they fight. It's a good fight for the first 8. Ali is obviously 100 times more skilled than Chuck, but Chuck just keeps coming. And when he hits Ali, it's pretty hard. So, in the 9th round, Chuck knocks him down.
Wow.
He knocks him down. Ali, to his dying breath, would say that Chuck stepped on his foot and he tripped, and it was a slip. But both Chuck, the referee, and if you watch it, he got him. It's not like he didn't hit him and he fell down. He fucking punched him and then he fell down. So I don't know what's up with his foot, but he fell down.
Yeah.
There's no shame in getting a shot in on you here. So Wepner went to his corner. You know how you got to go to the corner over there. Yep. And he said, Al, start the car. We're going to the bank. He thought he won. He said, quote, we're going to the bank. We are millionaires.
In the ring.
In the ring. Wepner's manager, Al, said, quote, you better turn around. He's getting up and he looks pissed off.
Uh-oh. Bear, this is worse.
This is worse. He thought he could just, laze through the fight. You just awoke him to the fucking, the point that maybe that's not true. Now he actually has to beat the shit out of you. This is probably not good for you. If you're going to surprise him, you better knock him out,
And you just bragged that you just won. Ali doesn't like that.
And they did he said between the 12th and 13th round, the referee came over and put 2 fingers in front of his face and asked how many, and he did his famous, how many guesses do I get line. 15th round here, okay?
My.
After the knockdown, Ali took over, by the way. He was like, oh, fuck this shit. I'm not going to get embarrassed by this bum. So he outboxed him, opens up cuts all over his fucking head, above his eyes, breaks Chuck's nose. I mean, Chuck is fucked up by the end of this fight. Looks like a mess. He's way, way ahead on the scorecards, too. He's won every fucking round, probably, except for the 9th where he got knocked down. And with 19 seconds left in the 15th round, the referee waves off the fight, calls it a technical knockout. No, Chuck's never went off his feet.
Yeah.
He never went down.
I thought you were going to say his corner throws the towel or something.
No.
From him. Let him finish it. That's great.
They stopped it, though, but they didn't let it go all the way, which he was very upset about. In the post-fight, Ali said, quote, he was a struggle. I fight my own fights and the way I see fit, and I'm unmarked. So he said, nobody fucking cut me. This is, by the way, right after the fight. At one point, from the second row, a female audience member yelled, "That's what you think." And it turns out that it's Phyllis Wepner. It's Chuck's wife.
What?
Chuck's wife is talking shit.
Yeah.
So Ali said, quote, "That's Chuck's wife. She's got a right to holler." He heard it. And Ali said, then, because I guess somebody told her to shut up, basically. One of Ali's entourage told her to shut up. And he went, "Oh, no, fuck that. That's his wife. She's got a right to holler." Then he says, quote, "When I lost that fight to Norton, my wife gave karate to 5 policemen and then passed out." Gave karate is the greatest way I've ever heard anything put ever. My wife gave karate to 5 policemen, then passed out is amazing. That's the funniest thing Ali's ever fucking said, I think. It really is. And he's hilarious.
What would be the proper way of saying that? Did karate? Performed karate? I think it's gave karate.
Gave karate is, I think, it's just as good as did or performed. Yeah. It sounds almost generous at that point, though. I gave them the gift of karate. I gave them the gift of kicks to the face and then passing out on the floor. Wow. Ali did not like Tony Perez, the referee. Hated him. He said, following the decision here, he said that Perez was racist for allowing Wepner to rabbit punch him in the early stages of the battle. He said, "He's not white nor black. He's Puerto Rican trying to be white. He's a dirty referee. I never want that man to referee another one of my fights."
That's pretty harsh.
Then he said, somebody asked him, "Would you fight him on his own terms in a bar room?" Chuck Wepner. You beat him in the ring. Okay. Would you fight him in a bar?
Yeah.
And Ali said, quote, "I don't fight in bar rooms. I'd shoot the man before I'd fight him."
Jesus.
Then he said, it was a joke because he gives a long pause, and he said, "I'd cut him. Black people cut you." And then he started laughing. It's a joke. He's a fucking comedian, Ali.
Yeah.
So he's got a line. Then he said that he'd be willing to fight Joe Frazier again for $10 million. That would be the fee for Frazier.
In what year?
76.
That's a lot.
A lot of fucking money. He said, quote, "I'd come in about 214," because he was about 223 he weighed in for this fight against Wepner. "I'd come in about 214 and in shape for Frazier. I did just enough to get by with Wepner. Hell, if I'd have blocked every punch and ducked every jab, by round 10, I'd have been more tired than him." Mm-hmm. So he was like, it's easier just to stay away. Now, Chuck's manager said, this is after the fight, he said, quote, "Chuck had 4 cuts, but you couldn't tell. His manager was waiting in a Holiday Inn for Chuck to return from the hospital at this point."
Is that right?
When he says this, he said, "Over the right eye in the 4th, under the right eyebrow in the 5th, and the big one across the left eyebrow in the 8th. None of them bled much. Nothing was dripping. That's because I had stuff in there, and that's why he went to the hospital, to make sure they clean that stuff out so it don't get infected. Then they stitch him up if he needs it." Wow. What do you put, like burlap in there? Like fucking...
Do they pack it with cotton? What is it?
He packed it with this fucking jelly shit. It's almost like a Vaseline type, but it's not Vaseline. It's this other shit that they use in there. It's gross. Somebody said, "Will he need any stitches?" And he said, "Chuck's a sadist for stitches. He loves them."
They're his favorite. So he can't come unless he's getting stitches.
That is fucking amazing. He said all the cuts took 23 stitches. 2 over the left eye, 1 over the right eye. 1 didn't need any. No deep cuts. The doctor was very thorough. He told me, "The only thing is your nose is broken." I told him, "Don't worry about it. This is the 5th time. It's just silly putty now."
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. It's fine.
Sometimes I sneeze and my nose bleeds. I get it.
He said, "It's just cartilage now. I was there 2.5 hours. They had ice packs on the eyes for an hour and a half to bring the swelling down." Wow. Now, of the ref, he was upset too. He said, "Only 19 seconds left. Perez could have let me finish. I heard him. I took the 8 and got up at 9. So he's like, what the fuck is going on here? He said that Perez his manager, though, disagrees. Braverman said, "Perez did the right thing 100%. Total exhaustion. Chuck was out of gas." Right. That's all there was to it.
19 seconds is plenty of time for Ali to murder you.
It is. It is. It's a lot, especially when it's big guys and one of them's absolutely out of it. Chuck couldn't bring his hands up anymore. Right. He was done.
And he can't fucking see.
Yeah, Wepner said, so he was upset about it. Now, before the fight, he was so confident that he bought his wife a pink negligee and told her she would be sleeping with the heavyweight champ of the world that night.
Dirty, I like it.
He returned to the hotel room that night, all fucked up and stitched up and everything else, and sat on the bed. And she was sitting on the bed in her negligee, and she said, well, is the champ coming or should I go to his room? I love New Jersey for this reason. That's Phyllis from Jersey right there. Well, is the champ coming or should I go to his room? And then they both fucking crack up and drink some Boone's Farm together or something.
That's hilarious.
That is amazing.
It's the best thing. It's the best joke a wife's ever told, ever in the history of anything.
It really fucking is, man. So this is when Rocky's being filmed now, or after this, Rocky is starting to be filmed after the Ali fight and all this, because we'll talk about later on exactly when, but this is the fight that made that movie a thing.
Really?
This is the fight that gave Stallone the idea for the movie.
Okay.
A nobody club fighter fighting the fast-talking, heavily skilled champion of the world. It's Rocky. Right. It's the first Rocky. And especially because Chuck used to collect some money here and there too and shit like that. Like he did all the Rocky shit like from the first movie. Chuck said about the because it was the Rocky was nominated for multiple Oscars, obviously, and before the Oscars, Chuck said I sent Stallone a telegram the day before. It read, "Good luck, Rocky. I'm quite sure you'll score a clean knockout over all of your opposition. Your buddy Chuck Wepner." And he says, "I'm sure he would have read it on the air if he won." I doubt it. I honestly doubt it. He'd thank his accountant before he'd fucking thank you. You know what I mean? Let's be honest here. He said, though, they'd never met, though, Chuck and Wepner at that point, or Chuck and Stallone. Chuck and Stallone. You know what the fuck I was talking about. Don't act like you didn't know what I was talking about.
Chuck's met himself several times.
This is fucking hard over here. You know what I'm saying?
Probably not recently, but I'm sure he's not.
Christ. So he said, that's fucking... So he said, but I was but he says I was the inspiration for the story, is what Chuck says, but they've never met. Chuck talks about, they said, what'd you think about Rocky? So what does the real Rocky think about the movie Rocky? Right. He says, it was so realistic, I saw myself all over again. Honest. When I fought him, I said to myself, hey man, you can't beat Ali. He's the champ. He's the greatest fighter who ever lived. Well, you can prove to the world you really belong in there and that you deserve this fight. That's what made the picture so great. He really was the way a fighter thinks. He just wanted to survive with him, the champ, and that's all it was. He said that some things are a little corny in it. He said that thing where they took the razor and slit his eye in the corner to take down the swelling, they'd never do that during a fight because it would squirt so much blood they'd have to stop it, which is true. Yeah, you'd put the giant ice compression on it and try to get it down 2 seconds there. He said also the scenes in the meat warehouse when Rocky's fighting,
when he's punching sides of beef.
Yeah, he's got beef with beef. He says where Rocky's punching out sides of beef to get in shape. Quote, nobody would train like that. If you work up a sweat in a refrigerator and stop, you catch pneumonia.
That's a good point.
He said, but the fight scenes were great. I saw it 3 times so far. First, I went with my friend, Peter Lemongello, the singer. Then it was at the New York premiere. During the movie, the people in the theater were yelling "Chuck, Chuck, Chuck" while Rocky was punching him, just like they did in the garden on closed circuit when I knocked Ali down. Okay. The fight was on closed circuit, the Wepner Ali fight. He said he was great too. The guy who played Ali, he was a defensive back on the Oakland Raiders. He should have got the supporting actor award. He portrayed Ali to a T. Okay. He's talking about Carl Weathers. Right. Who was not even really an actor at that point. That's what he just said.
The guy that played Ali.
The guy who played Ali, the guy who used to play for the Raiders. That's what he was known as at that point, not Apollo Creed. That's fucking amazing. He said they had to pick a relatively small man to play Ali because Stallone is not at all a heavyweight. He's only 5'9", about $165. He wears those built-up shoes in the movie, and everything they shoot is from down to give the illusion. He lifts weights and is muscular, so he looks bigger. Yeah, on film, you can make anybody look as however fucking big you want. They've made Tom Cruise look like a normal-sized person for fucking 40 years. They made him look like a person who women are like, oh, yeah, swooning, not,
Right.
5'4" or whatever he is.
They've made David Spade look average as well.
Yeah, they really have. He's lucky Chris Farley was fat and not tall, or else it would have been a problem for him. So, he said that he looks bigger. Chuck Wepner says that Stallone is coming to New York in May, and he's supposed to do some TV stuff with him, whatever that means. And he said, now there's talk of a Rocky 2. And Chuck said they should call it Rocky Round 2.
Yeah,
which he already fought. He fought 12 rounds, so that would make no sense. So that's fine. I get where he's going, but no thanks. So November 13th, 1975, Exposition Building in Portland. He fights Johnny Evans. By the way, these fights after Ali, I don't think these guys were even real fighters, or they were guys under aliases or something. Yeah. He fights 2 fighters in a row who this is their only fight that they ever fight.
So, wow, was he...
Check this out.
He's pulling punches to try to pad his career?
I think this is just like to get 2 wins back to whatever, but... November 13th, 75, he knocks out a guy in the 4th round named Johnny Evans, which sounds made up. It just sounds really basic. It's his first and only fight. Then 2 weeks later, he fights again in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, against Johnny Dolan.
Okay.
And it's his one and only fight also. Mm-hmm. So that just sounds like it's shady. It's kind of what boxing did. He knocks this guy out in the 3rd round. He's 33-11-2 after those 2 fights, by the way.
It's not bad.
Yeah. So after the fight, though, the Ali Wepner fight, that's when Stallone wrote the script for Rocky, like he said, and it's all about that. It's not that's what's good about Rocky is he doesn't win at the end.
Yeah.
That would be unrealistic. If Rocky beat this guy, it would be completely unrealistic.
Yeah, if a guy that chased chickens, drank eggs, and punched beef wins that's ridiculous.
He just doesn't have the skills. Right. He doesn't have any of it. The other guy is way more talented, physically gifted, skilled. I mean, he wants it just as bad, too. That's why he's in such great shape. You know what I'm saying? It's not like you wanted it and he doesn't care. Yeah, he's rich, but he still wants to kick your ass, you know? So
just because heart alone does not win things. You still have to be talented.
That's the thing is that so many sports, they learn that shit where they want all these heart guys and they're like, we actually have to have talent too. You get 1 or 2 heart guys. Well, the 1 or 2 heart guys keep the talent guys honest. You know what I mean? Yeah. Oh, Christ, I can't look like I'm going half speed to that guy. But other than that, they don't, you need talent. Yes. And fucking that's why Ali kicked his ass. That's the point.
Heart's a beautiful story, but listen, when the Bad News Bears lose, it's fucking great.
It's because they're losing against a much better team. That's the point.
Yeah.
Have you ever gotten a message out of the blue? Maybe you ignore them, or maybe you end up in conversation. Maybe they tell you about an amazing offer.
I can really show you how to make some money.
And maybe that gets you into a lot of trouble. But this isn't a story about people like you, the people receiving these messages. This is a story about the people behind the messages, on the other end of the line. Thousands of them, working in a micro-city built for scammers. From Wondery, the makers of Dr. Death and Kill List, comes Scam Factory, a new series about survival at the expense of others. Follow Scam Factory on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to Scam Factory early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts.
A few miles from the glass spires of Midtown Atlanta lies the South River Forest. In 2021 and 2022, the woods became a home to activists from all over the country who gathered to stop the nearby construction of a massive new police training facility, nicknamed Cop City.
At approximately 9 o'clock this morning, as law enforcement was moving through various sectors of the property, an individual, without warning, shot a Georgia State Patrol trooper.
This is We Came to the Forest, a story about resistance.
The abolitionist mission isn't done until every prison is empty and shut down.
Love and fellowship.
It was probably the happiest I've ever been in my life.
And the lengths we'll go to protect the things we hold closest to our hearts. Follow We Came to the Forest on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus.
So that's what goes on here. He loves that they didn't make Rocky win. He loves that he made him go the distance and be set. That's the win. At the end, he just survives the fight and loses, and the fucking music is swelling, and he's hugging Adrian. That's the win for him, just surviving. So he thought that was pretty cool. 1976, okay? He fights Andre the Giant.
Oh, dear Lord. Now he's
Bet you didn't expect that one.
Oh, my God.
Well, Ali fought Antonio Inoki on the same night. This isn't Ali's the heavyweight champ of the world. He fought Antonio Inoki, the Japanese wrestler, on the same night. This is a Vince McMahon produced senior, but Junior does a lot of the legwork and Junior is trying to figure out closed circuit television, and he's investing in different things in closed circuit television, which actually for him ends up working out well because he's on the forefront of that in the early the mid 80s. He has the Wrestling Challenge was the first available pay-per-view, right? So for wrestling. So I mean, before that it was just closed circuit. He moved it into that, and really pay-per-view wrestling drove that. Wrestling and boxing are the things that drove those two things. Right. Closed circuit was all over the place for boxing. So this is Andre the Giant versus Chuck Wepner and Muhammad Ali versus Antonio Inoki in separate locations.
Fantastic.
The Inoki Ali fight, I believe, is in Japan. It's in Tokyo. Yeah. And this fight is in Madison Square Garden over here. So what they do is in Madison Square Garden, they have a full card. They have Bruno Sammartino versus Stan Hansen that night for the WWF title. And then you have later on in the night, you have Wepner versus Andre the Giant. And then they put the screens out.
Oh, boy.
And you see they have the screens out and you see Ali Inoki when the card here is over. So that's how it ends up going down. And it's called The War of the Worlds, boxer versus wrestler, shown live on closed-circuit TV across the U.S. and including Canada and the U.K. as well. They show it. So Andre, Wepner's 37 years old, by the way, at this point. So he's getting older here, and he's looking to make some money. He's in the end of his boxing career. He's still a big guy who has a huge punch against normal people, but Andre the Giant's not exactly a normal person, and it's also fake, so, who cares? Let's see here. The rules of the match are this, the quote rules. It's wrestling, so, Andre could do anything that pro wrestlers were allowed to do. Okay. He could kick, punch, grab, slap, chop, fucking pile drive, do whatever he wants, okay? But if any hold he gets Wepner in, as soon as Wepner touches the ring ropes, he's got to release him, which is wrestling rules anyway. So that doesn't matter. So Wepner has to wear boxing gloves and can only throw punches. That's all he's allowed to do.
No kicking, no eye gouging.
No kicking, no grabbing, no headlocks. Only punches versus anything you want with no gloves on. Which seems unfair if it was real. So the bout is scheduled for 10 3-minute rounds. And, they have scorecards and all that kind of shit. Possible outcomes are pinfall, submission, knockout, TKO, decision, draw, countout, or disqualification.
Okay.
So they combine all the outcomes of wrestling and boxing, and you can have any of them. So Wepner's, boxing against Andre the Giant in the beginning of it. He's throwing he looks like a boxer, and Andre's got the cross thing. He's trying to fight him off. He's throwing little light hands to the body, and it looks, he's throwing little rights, feeling each other out. And then I guess they lock up for a second here, and Wepner immediately grabs the ropes, and that's the end of the first round. They put it if Andre gets a hold of him, and he does, and then he grabs the ropes quick, and the round's over. So
ding, ding, ding. Yep.
Ding, ding, ding. Keep the drama up. That's how everyone should have known it was fake immediately. So finally here, Andre comes inside trying to get a single leg takedown on him. And Wepner clenches up on him, hooks his right arm and all this type of shit. And then Andre releases Wepner, and he falls into the ropes. There's another break, and they do all this shit. They keep doing this. Andre comes in, tries to get a wrestling hold. Wepner grabs the ropes quick. So they're building this whole thing where if Andre ever gets a hold of him, that's how it's going to work. So between rounds 1 and 2, by the way, Vince McMahon is doing the commentary for it because he was the commentary guy back then. And he was talking, he said, quote, "The champion of the War of the Worlds will be awarded a new Harley-Davidson motorcycle."
That's the prize?
And then they showed it. It was an SS 250. This was at Shea Stadium, this event, but then it was, closed circuit at Madison Square Garden. Okay. So they had the motorcycle sitting right there in the infield dirt of Shea Stadium. There it is. So they didn't say who would win. Imagine Andre the Giant on a fucking motorcycle. Right. That's ridiculous.
That's absurd.
That's asinine. So either way, it doesn't matter. So during also another round, he did a live read for a JVC fucking combination Model 3050 combination TV radio.
TV radio, not DVD.
Which is
VHS.
It looks... You know, it looks like it's like the shape. It's a big rectangle, and it has like a handle on the end. Yeah. It's one of those. It's got a little tiny fucking screen and then a thing. One of those
giant fucking
deals.
Antenna on it.
Yeah, it's long too. It's like fucking huge. This thing. They were showing that shit there. Get one of those. So anyway, Chuck falls down at one point. Andre moves in, picks Wepner up, goes to body slam him, and then ends up. Fucking picks him up over his head and all that kind of shit and throws Wepner over the ropes. Is this sounding familiar to you?
No.
This is Rocky 3, by the way.
Is that right?
In Rocky 3, Stallone fights Hulk Hogan at the time as Thunder Lips, and it's the exact same match. He would grab Stallone would grab the ropes. Holy shit, this guy's enormous. What the fuck? And then the end of the match is Hulk Hogan picks him up over his head and throws him into like the third row of the crowd. So it's exactly what happened here is what Stallone did for Rocky 3. And it's ridiculous. So Wepner overhooked the top rope with his right hand and got his right leg caught between the middle and top rope. You have to know how to go over those ropes. It takes practice. And it caused him to fall first on the ring apron, then he goes out onto the infield.
Ouch.
He's fine. It's Chuck Wepner. He could, he's all right. So apparently he's supposed to get 20 seconds to get back into the ring. And they gave him instead the standard pro wrestling 10 count. He thought he had 20 seconds, but it was only 10 seconds. And so there's a big melee after that. Everybody gets all upset, and it's, so they can get a rematch. Yeah, right. So they can possibly have a rematch here. Gorilla Monsoon gets involved. It's very fucking stupid. So anyway, the bell rang. Andre gets the victory by count out in round 3.
And that's not what was supposed to happen? Or was?
No, that was supposed to happen. And that's the thing. For years and years, people were like, maybe it was real. Yeah. Because the Inoki Ali match ended up turning into a kind of a shoot was the problem. Inoki is such a fucking ego over there that he couldn't let this guy make him look stupid in Japan. So Inoki basically just laid down and kicked him in the legs. She's like, if you lay down, you can't. If I lay down, you can't punch me. And Ali, rather than just going, okay, I'll stand over here till you get up, motherfucker. Right. I don't care. It's your fucking crowd. You want to look like an asshole who puts on a bad event. Right. Ali tried to make something out of it to go near him, and he just kicked him in the legs. I think Ali ended up with blood clots and shit from that.
Jesus.
From getting kicked in the leg repeatedly, a bunch of bruising and blood clots he had to go to the hospital for.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was really. And it was no one liked it. It was terrible.
Yeah,
the
that's
Ali
awful.
Inoki fight. It was boring. No one liked it. But that's what I've heard about it. I've never seen it, honestly, but that's what I've read it 20 times. Right? Oh, I'm sure it is. It just never sounds boring. So this was totally all cooperative. Chuck says, quote, "We worked out a couple times before our match. I promised not to hit him in the face. Andre promised not to throw me too far. That's all. Let's be gentle. Yeah. That's it. There was 33,000 people there, by the way.
That's a lot.
And that's when they watched the 3-sided video screen there. They put it on the baseball infield, and they watched Ali Inoki there. Wow. So anyway, May 6th, 1976, he's back fighting boxers again. Good for him. Not bears or giants or anything else. Just guys in the street. Yeah. Right. May 6th, 76, high school gym in Kearney, New Jersey.
Jesus God.
He was fighting Ali fucking last year. He fights Tommy Sheehan, who's 11-15-1. TKOs him in the second round, 34-11. October 2nd, 76, at the Utica College Sports Complex in New York there. Dwayne Bobbick he fights, who's 36-0 coming in. Wow, it's an up-and-comer. He loses, Chuck loses by TKO in the 6th, obviously. 34-12-2 for him. February 19th, 1977, South Africa, Johannesburg, versus Mike the Tank Shoot. Schutte. Shoot, something.
Right?
The Tank. 33-6-1 here. Chuck loses by decision all 10 rounds.
You can't keep doing this. This is bad.
34-13-2. Next up, down the line further, May 20th, 77, at the Broome County Arena in Binghamton, he fights Horst Giesler.
What?
Horst. His name is Horst Giesler, and he has no nickname.
Picked nothing else. I'll go by that.
How about George? It's better than Horst. I'll take George.
The problem is that he's going to...
Just this once.
You can't just be the inspiration for a big deal. That doesn't make you any money. That doesn't do anything.
Well, it might later on. We'll talk about that. But Horst is 9-3, and he beats Chuck by TKO in the 10th round. So good. Chuck is 34-14-2. April 7th, 78, North Bergen, he fights Johnny Blaine, who is 2-16-1. Mm-hmm. Maybe I can beat him. By the way, career 4-33-2. So he just basically did exactly what he did again.
Did it all over again.
Yep, exactly. Plus one loss.
Yeah.
TKO in the third round for Chuck on this one, 35-14-2. June 2nd, 78, he fights, he's at the Old Armory in Jersey City, and he's fighting a guy named Tom Healy, who they're saying that he's a good fighter and he has a good left hook and all this shit, and he's 3-5, though, so... how good he can be.
Yeah.
Wepner says, I'm going to beat the whatchamacallit out of Haley. I know he was the all-Army champ and fought all those amateur bouts and has done pretty well in the pros so far and is 10 years younger than me. He's supposed to be a good boxer and a good jabber, but I think he's going to turn into a good runner, and what I'm going to have to do is cut off the ring, corner him, and try to put him away. I've been spotting guys' ears all my life. And he says, it doesn't matter. I'm always in good shape. I never smoke. I lift weights. I belong to 2 or 3 different health clubs. I play a lot of softball. Don't worry, everybody. I'm playing softball. Kick everybody's ass here.
40 years old. Everything will be fine.
I'm 40. I'm a good softball player. I play in a beer league. It's not bad. When I started out in boxing 14 years ago, I weighed 214. I'm only 7 or 8 pounds more than that today, and that's all muscle. Okay. So... he's ready to go. Haley was, he spent 14 months in Vietnam in the Army.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And he said that the first place he came on his way back was to the gym to, quote, straighten his head out.
Uh-huh.
So to get his head screwed on straight, he decided to have people punch him in the face.
He dealt with PTSD by just taking out his rage on people.
By boxing, yeah.
Wow.
He also worked as a bartender and a cabbie, and he was a police academy trainee at some point. Okay. He said that he'd like to be, Chuck is saying that Chuck wants to be a full-time boxer here. You know what I mean? That's what he wants. And his manager said, quote, Wepner is at the crossroads of his career. This is Braverman. If he doesn't look well against this guy, I'm going to tell him to call it a day. Jesus. Healy's young and strong. Father Time may be catching up to Chuck. This could be his last hurrah. Then he says, I've been very fortunate to have been associated with Chuck. He's already saying his obituary. They haven't even fought yet.
It's over.
He's a beautiful guy. We've never had a written contract. All we've had is a handshake. Fighters come and go, but managers remain. But if Chuck doesn't look good, I'm going to sit him down and talk to him and tell him it's the end.
Yeah.
He's got all his marbles. He's a good businessman. He's well respected. He can't cross the street without 50 people asking him, Chuck, when are you fighting next? Just a beautiful human being, I tell you. This guy's hilarious. Anyway, Chuck wins by TKO in the 5th, so I guess he's allowed to keep boxing.
Yeah.
36-14-2. September 26th, 1978. This is for the New Jersey State Heavyweight Championship against a prospect named Scott Frank, who's 4-0 right now. Mm-hmm. Noted for being a big puncher. Hell, his whole career, he'll be 22-1-1, so not terrible. This fight goes 12 rounds, all 12, and Chuck loses by unanimous decision.
Now can he quit?
Making him 36-15-2, and now he retires. Okay. He's done.
Yeah. Good.
He says, quote, I know just how Ali felt. He said, I had held the Jersey Championship for 16 years, but the training became too arduous. I lost the title to Frank Scott, who was 20 years old. I remember that Scott when he was 12. He used to come down to the gym and watch me train. When you lose to an ex-12-year-old, that's it. Chuck, that's the line of crime in sports for all time. Everyone's an ex-12-year-old. Yes. Everyone, even someone that's older than you. When you lose, but it's so, you know exactly what he means.
You know what he means.
When you lose to an ex-12-year-old, that's it. That's amazing.
A man that you've seen when he was 12, but he lost to 16 other ex-12-year-olds.
All of them are, yeah. Fuck. He said, I'm still working for Majestic Liquors, doing my rounds, and I've been working for Central Drum and Barrel in Newark. When I retired, I became a sex symbol. My stable of girls increased from 3 to 5.
Holy shit.
Yeah, he's got, all he does, he's divorced around this time. He just goes around, hangs out at bars.
Just slings dick.
Slings dick. He's a local celebrity. Everyone knows who he is. He's in Jersey. They're like, I know Chuck. And they all bang him with their teased up hair. It's fucking ridiculous.
Banging ex-12-year-olds.
Ex-12-year-olds. Hey, honey, I bet you was 12 once, huh? That's not a good come on. I don't think. He talks about Ali here because everybody kind of got the idea that he didn't like Ali from what happened. He said, quote, I love Ali. He's not like he's pictured in the papers. No, it's a fucking in wrestling, everybody, all wrestlers always say this. The guys who are the best bad guys are the nicest guys outside the ring. Yeah. The guys who are the good guys are usually narcissistic shitbags. Right. That's usually how it works. So it's no different for this, I don't think. But yeah, that's how it works. He said, quote,
it's the same as like a person that's self-deprecating is a great person to be around. Somebody that just says unbelievable things about themselves is always a piece of shit.
Usually, yeah. If I'm great all the time.
Fuck is the worst person to hang out with.
That's fucking, that's really fucking bad. No, I get it, though. It's you get a bad... From this show and from Small Town Murder, people think I must be a huge asshole, like I'm walking around screaming at people in the streets. Who's nicer to strangers, Jimmy? I mean, honestly.
As long as they're elderly and female, there's nobody nicer.
Or really, that's true. I'm nice to old ladies. I really am. I'm really sweet to old ladies. But I'm nice to people, generally.
Generally, I mean, there's not a show of multiple people together that's nicer to everybody else than you and I guarantee that.
No, that's true. I agree with that. Absolutely.
We go out of our way to be kind to people, and that's what it is.
Because we hate ourselves. That's why. Yeah. That's because we're.
Just because you have hard opinions,
self-deprecating.
You have hard opinions on things, but it's not that you think you're better than them. You're not. What you're saying is they're not better than you. That's all it is.
And not only that, it's also we're on a comedy show, so most of what I'm saying is a fucking joke. That's the other thing. I might believe the kernel of it, but all of my ranting and ravings are the fluff around it. That's the joke part. You know what I'm saying? Understand that.
And the exaggeration and the hard opinions are not putting yourself on a pedestal.
No,
it's grabbing shit on a pedestal and bringing it down to you.
Who the fuck do you think you are? Is what it is. It's not I think I know who I am. It's who the fuck you think you are.
Yeah,
that's all.
You're not worthy of being up there. You need to be down in the muck with me.
You're not better than me. You think you're better than me? Going around.
I'm not better than you, but you're not better than me.
But you sure as fuck ain't better than me, buddy. I'll tell you that right now.
That's what it is.
That's what it is. So Chuck says about Muhammad Ali, quote, I love Ali. He's not pictured like in the papers. I know him a little when I fought him, but I got to know him pretty good there 3 years ago when we were in Washington, D.C. to make a film on dental hygiene for the local grammar schools. What a strange idea.
Where did that come from?
We need to teach 9-year-olds about dental hygiene. Let's get Muhammad Ali and that guy that he beats up and bleeds all the time. Let's get him. The guy who fought the bear and Andre the Giant. We'll get those two together.
Fire sprinkler face. We need that guy.
Yeah, we need that guy. He can bleed on the children. It'll be wonderful for him. It'll be a lot of fun. They like that kind of shit.
What the hell?
So, he said they did that. Quote, I was Mr. Tooth Decay, and whenever I knocked Ali down, he went running back to brush his teeth. We spent 3 days together. He's like a big child, always giggling and joking. That's a great way to be if you can be. Yeah. I owe him an awful lot. He meant everything to my career. If I had been ranked 8th in the world and was U.S. and Jersey champ, but let's face it, those titles don't mean a hill of beans. I got $100,000 for that fight, and it got me fights against those wrestlers, Andre the Giant and Inoki. He ended up having a match against Inoki, too. but the John Dre one's the interesting one. He said, I had 12 fights after Ali, won 10, but all anybody ever remembers is that I almost went the distance against Ali. It made me famous all over the world. Yeah.
For no money.
Absolutely. He said, he said, people say I came along way too soon because I would have made a lot more money fighting for the title nowadays. He said, I made $100,000 plus $25,000 in fighting expenses for that fight. Ali made over $2 million. But you know what? I wouldn't trade that $100,000 for all the millions they could give me today because I fought Muhammad Ali, the greatest fighter who ever lived, and that's an honor that you can't buy.
That's true.
It's true. He said that he's every day is a celebration of getting that fight because he said he owes everything to it. He said, quote, I owe just about everything I have to that fight.
Absolutely.
That's what he said when he was 55 years old later on. So that says a lot. Now, 79, Rocky II is going. And apparently on Wepner's table, there's an autographed picture of Sly that says, quote, to my inspiration, Sly Stallone.
Is that right?
So, yeah. Sly even gave Wepner some lines as a sparring partner in Rocky II. He's going to cast him as a sparring partner, get him a little payday. But apparently, Wepner says his part was omitted 9 days before the final cutting.
Oh, cutting on the floor.
Everybody else that was there said that Sly wanted him in there, but they had to cut him loose because he was coked out of his fucking mind the whole time he was there. He had an obvious drug problem, and it wasn't okay to have him around, basically, and so they cut him out of the movie. You could tell he wasn't right.
That's fucked.
At this point, he is doing some serious fucking coke for a while. I mean, Jersey, early 80s, hangs out and he's a liquor rep.
Yeah.
All he does is hang out in bars in Jersey trying to get. If you're a single guy in Jersey, early 80s, trying to get women, you're a liquor rep. You got liquor, coke coming at you. You are a fucking mess. Yeah. This is gross. Absolutely disgusting. The fucking places he gets blowjobs is making me nauseous right now. Nauseous. It's fucking disgusting. So, that's Rocky II. Rocky III later on, after Rocky III, Wepner said, quote, I saw Stallone 2 months ago, and he told me he had a part in Rocky III for me. He said I could play the heavy bag. He was giving me a zinger. So he blew his chance, in other words.
That's brutal.
But at this point, there's an article that says, quote, so Chuck Wepner lives. He has his Cadillac and his girls and his liquor route and his reputation among the bars and babes of the Jersey Shore. And he has an everlasting gratitude and empathy for a fellow traveler. That's what he says.
How long? Oh, this does not last, though, man.
No, this is bad. This fame from before.
Living
at some point,
for today.
At some point, you're a creepy old guy at the end of the bar offering young women coke who don't want it from you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So... Or they want your coke, but then they're not going to blow you. That's the difference because you're gross. Yeah. Thanks a lot. Bye. That's what that'll be. Oh, okay.
And you're the guy who was the inspiration. You weren't even in the movie. It was about you, or at least roughly, kinda.
The older you get, the less believable that becomes because you just look like a lumpy old man with scars all over your head.
I saw the movie. You're not recognizable.
So November 1985 now. Okay. So it's been 6 years since he retired.
Yeah.
Just been hanging out the Jersey bar scene, selling liquor, doing coke. That's what he does. November of 85, he is arrested.
Uh-oh.
Obviously. You looked at me like, oh, shit, really? It's crime and sports. He's going to get arrested. Sorry, it took 2 hours to get him arrested, but it's an interesting story. So he's arrested for several drug offenses, the result of an 8-month investigation.
Oh, yeah, so he's been deep in it.
He didn't get pulled over and have a fucking 8-ball in his pocket. This is a problem, the prosecutor said. He is described by the prosecutor as a mid-level drug dealer.
Mm-hmm.
Hangs out in bars. I mean, he's got connections, hangs out in bars.
Got people selling for him, too.
Well, they pulled him over in Sayreville, and because they knew what was going on and they knew what he had. He had in his trunk 4 ounces of coke.
That's a lot.
That is not good at all. You can't do that.
When that shit's sold in grams, that's a lot of fucking coke.
Yeah. You can't have a QP of fucking coke in your car. That's too much coke. It's a lot. So all of that, he's arrested. They said that was worth about $12,000. Then when they pulled him out and searched his body, he had about 2 8-balls in his pocket and 365 bucks in cash. So he had his sales and he has personal supply in his pocket, and that's that. He's charged with possession of cocaine, possession with intent to distribute cocaine, and conspiracy. Yeah. This is bad for him. They get a search warrant to search his home, and they found $3,200 in cash and 3 unregistered handguns there as well.
No.
So Chuck's got some fucking issues now. Now he's a mid-level drug dealer who's got busted with a shitload of coke and guns and money. Not good. This is all bad stuff. They had him on. They did all sorts of different surveillance and electronic surveillance. This was a big, giant fucking case to get 5 bar scumbags for snorting coke. Like, I don't care about this at all. This is, you know what this probably cost?
That's what I was going to say. Millions of taxpayer dollars to get 5 scumbags.
Yeah. In the state of New Jersey, and this goes for any state out there, you can say, oh, I wish my kid's school had this. Right. They have everything they need. All sorts of electronic shit to bust 5 fucking scumbags from the Jersey bar scene. He wasn't selling it at the high school. No. He's selling it to other Jersey coke fucking skanks and shit like that at the Jersey Shore. I don't care about that at all.
4 ounces of it too. It's not even like it's several keys.
No, it's a small time operation. He's not a fucking kingpin. He's just he can get a good price on weight, and he fucking sells it at the bar because he's there anyway.
He's probably making extra cash. He's probably making more money selling coke than he ever did boxing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Christ, besides the Ali fight, he didn't make shit. So, he was arrested on Route 35 on November 8th, 1985. They had him on electronic surveillance selling cocaine on 3 different occasions to an intermediary who then sold that cocaine to an undercover officer. Okay. So he's supplying this low-level people that are selling also. So he's one step above the user, actually. The actual guy just snorting a line. So following his arrest, they also arrest another man and another woman who Wepner was supplying the drugs to, who he was on his way to see. 3 other people were also arrested by the Middlesex County Prosecutor's Office as a result, which was a huge, they had it all on film, drug, control buys and all that kind of shit. 8-month investigation by not only the county prosecutor's office, but also the Drug Enforcement Agency. So federal was in on this.
DEA. Fucking almost a year for this.
Yep, and several police departments. How many man hours did we pay for this shit? It's got to stop. We got to stop with this fucking drug shit. It's ridiculous. It's fucking ridiculous.
What a waste.
People are like, yeah, but then they're in the streets doing that. It costs so much less to just fix whatever they fuck up in the streets. It really does. I'm tired of this shit. I'm sick and fucking tired of it. I get that you feel better, like, oh, we're going to get them. I don't fucking care. I'm not paying for you to feel better. Eat your shit. Go fuck yourself.
And then driving the price up so high that it makes it so valuable for so many people to be in it, and then cutting it down with fentanyl and shit.
Yeah.
And so many people are dying for no good cause.
I fucking think coke is gross. I'm not a drug guy. I like weed, and that's it. So I'm not a fucking drug guy at all. But we can't all say we're going to spend as much money as possible and dump every fucking dime we have into making sure that Chuck doesn't do coke at the bar. I'm not up for that. I'm sorry. I don't fucking care.
What if we focus on making the world so great you don't need drugs? You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I don't think that's possible, but sure, that'd be great. Yeah, that'd be. And nobody ever gets abused as a child. Right. Nobody ever has a bad run as an adult. No one ever just has that receptor that really hooks into coke.
They don't need it to get by.
No, I don't have that. I did coke once and went, oh, God, this is terrible. Jesus Christ. Oh, I'm even worse now. Fuck. My brain is going so fast I can't take it.
Now I need to sit. I want to sit. I can't
I was so much worse than I am now. You think I'm fucking high. Oh, my God. Jesus Christ. I was like a guitar string wound tight. No good. So anyway, he ends up having to plead guilty to this 2 years later. In 1987, he pleads guilty to charges of possession and conspiring to sell illegal drugs. He says he pleaded guilty, quote, to spare his family the pain of a messy trial.
Or the fact that you were super fucked.
And to, quote, get less prison time. Yeah. Let's fucking be honest, Chuck. Jesus Christ. I did it it's all for the kids. You know what I'm saying? It's for the children. I did it.
Family, man.
Oh, I don't want people, dragging through the mud. My wife's got to come in. I don't want to inconvenience nobody. Get the fuck out of here.
We got the same last name.
Good. Yeah, good God. They described Wepner in court as a mid-level dealer, but he said in court that he did not sell cocaine for personal profit and was personally only addicted for a short time.
Okay.
Which we know isn't true because he was so coked up in 1979 that that fucking Stallone couldn't put him in Rocky 2, even though it was about him.
Right.
That's how coked up he was.
We can't have the inspiration on set because he's a fucking disaster.
That's a lot here. They said the conspiracy charge, which he pled guilty to, did include allegations that he had distributed cocaine, though. The possession charge, though, that he pled guilty to was only the 0.37 grams of cocaine found in the search of his home.
Oh.
They just found like a little bag with some residue in it in his home. Not even a gram. To him, that's nothing. He just threw it on a dresser, probably.
0.37 grams?
0.37, not even a gram. So just a little bit of powder. That's the possession he's pleading to. They dropped the more serious drug possession charges on the larger amounts of cocaine. That's part of the deal. So by pleading to these charges, the Middlesex County Prosecutor's Office agreed to enter plea bargaining agreement with Wepner, under which the maximum prison term he can serve. Before this, the maximum term was life. He could have got.
Holy shit.
Now it is reduced from life to a maximum of 10 years he could possibly be sentenced to, which is still,
that's still
asinine.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pay for you for 10 years because you wanted to do coke in a bar with scumbags. I don't care. This is what I'm talking about.
And 10 years for 0.37 grams is insanity.
Oh my God, Jesus, I don't give a fuck. It would be cheaper to buy these people coke. Right. That would be cheaper. I don't fucking care. I'm for pragmatism now. I'm not for what's right. I don't fucking care. What's easier and cheaper for us? I don't give a fuck. Do all the coke you want and fucking drive off a bridge for all I give a fuck. I don't care. I'm not paying for anything else.
We don't have
for you.
Money for you.
Yes, for that. I don't.
Yeah,
I'll pay for.
Right?
I'll pay for disabled people. I'll pay for fucking kids to get. I'll pay for all that shit. I'm not paying to fucking put people who are perfectly happy doing coke in a bar. I'm not going to pay for their fucking food and shelter for 10 years. That's ridiculous. They were happy
for 0.37.
Leave them the fuck alone. Yeah,
not even half a gram.
Not even half a gram. Not even. That's pathetic. That's like a little drop.
Yeah, that guy's going to get eaten alive in prison for 10 years for 0.37 grams of coke. You're going to make that man a way worse criminal by putting him in there with those criminals.
That's less coke than Amber Heard's staged picture that she had of that thing, that one. You know that picture, that staged one? It's obviously fucking staged.
She had more shit in the bed.
Yeah. No, that one too. But there's more there. Well, that looked like it was a half pounder at least. That was a
good one. That was a cute feat for sure.
That was a turd. So anyway, that's the deal there. The prosecutors also agree to drop 2 other charges against him for the weapons as well. So he's going to be sentenced. He could receive a shortened sentence, probation, or even community service for this.
Okay.
So, I mean, he could get off light here. And he says, after he enters his guilty plea, for a period of several months during the fall of 1985, I became involved in the use of cocaine. That's what he said. That's all it was. He doesn't really admit to selling it, though. On his way out of the courtroom on his plea here, he says that they're asking him all this. They ask him all this shit, and he said that he's no longer addicted to coke. He said, "I've been over my problem for quite a while now." Okay. Now, his attorney says that this should be a lesson for young people. He certainly feels guilt-ridden and certainly acknowledges his wrongdoing. They said he only started doing coke around the summer of '85. So he'd only been doing coke for 4 months, and he already had a quarter pound and was selling it to people. That's not how drugs work.
Yeah, just the summer of '85.
If you have a quarter pound and you're selling it to people, 8 balls in your pocket, half a bag, little scraps at home, you do drugs, you know a lot of drugs. This is a lifestyle. It's not 4 months. That's bullshit. That's crazy. They say, though, that he had to undergo cancer surgery in the summer of '85. He had something removed from him that was like a cancerous something.
Skin cancer or something?
No, it was like I don't remember where it was, but it was some kind of cancer. But he was fine after that. It was just a growth they had to remove. They said the stress of that caused him to do coke for a few months.
Well, yeah.
And he liked it. He liked it so much he bought a trunk full of it just to have it. It was great. Wow. They said he's undergone successful treatment for the cancer and the addiction, and he's fine. Let's get him some probation, some community service, and get him out on the street. Also indicted with him, Ralph Devone Jr. Ralph Devone Jr., 24 years old, of Woodbridge, and Natalie Weinstein, 41, of East Brunswick, pleaded guilty to charges earlier in the year. Devone was sentenced to 7 years in state prison.
Wow.
Weinstein got 6 months. Same charges, by the way. I don't know their backgrounds, though. I don't know who had a longer record or whatever, but that's fun. And then another individual here, a fourth, Gustav Grill of Staten Island, is expected to appear in court and also. So he's in court, and the judge says, what do you predict?
Oh, Jesus. 7 years.
7 years, you think? The same as DeVore?
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's see. You, sir, may fuck off 10 years.
Oh, the max.
Judge gave Jimmy and me 10 years like he was giving out candy. He gave him one of those.
Gave him 10 years.
10.37
grams.
Years. I think it's because he wouldn't admit he was selling it, so they banged him on that. Yeah. That was part of it from what I understand here. He ends up only serving 18 months of 10 years, though.
Okay.
So that's not much. He said, and then he did like 20 months of post-sentencing shit, halfway house probation, all that shit. He said it was worse than anything in the ring, though. He said he hated it.
Oh, I'm sure.
You think? He said, I'm not copping a plea, but I did a favor for someone and I got busted. That's what he said. He's like, listen, I was carrying it for somebody. They said, hey, bring this over here. But, that's how it goes.
But he did cop a plea.
He did cop a plea. He said, the feds wanted me to talk. They said they'd go easy on me if I did, but I'd never been a rat in my life, and I told them I wasn't going to start now.
Okay.
That's why he got 10 years, because he told them I'm not giving you shit. He said during his second day in jail, he said right away an inmate, he didn't really know who he was, I don't think, the inmate. No. And he says, quote, this guy comes up to me and says, if you cause me any trouble, it'll cost you 2 packs of cigarettes a week. To Wepner.
Oh, yeah.
He said, quote, this is Wepner.
Down.
This is his second day in prison, by the way, Wepner, so he's good and pissed off at this point. He said, I was in kind of a sour mood anyway, so I gave him the back of my hand. Didn't even punch him, just backhanded him. They gave me some time in solitary for that, but nobody ever bothered me again.
How
I would
about
say
that?
They went, oh, that's the guy who knocked Ali down. Let's not fight him.
Hey,
probably.
Have y'all seen Rocky?
Yeah, holy shit. So he said that it was hell. I thought everyone would turn their backs on me while I was in there. So he was very paranoid. Sly comes to see him in jail.
Wow.
Now, not just for that, though. He's filming the 1989 film Lockup there. And he films it at the same prison where fucking Wepner was.
Wepner's at, yeah.
Yeah, he said Stallone spent 2 days shooting the movie there, and Wepner was serving time for his offenses. And he says, quote, I actually did go down to see Stallone. When he came to the jail to do lockup, the warden came to get me and said, Chuck, he's here. I said, who? And he said, Sylvester Stallone. He's going to film parts of his movie here. Let's go down and see him. He's not having the regular prison experience, we'll just say. The warden doesn't come up to people and go, hey, our thing's coming. Come on, man, we'll go. And then they skip off into the fucking hills with the balloons in their hand. That's not the normal jail experience I don't think he's getting here. You fucking kidding me? Jesus,
how about
Chuck.
Stallone just doing all the things that Wepner did except making a shitload of money for doing it?
That's the difference. He's just following his life. He said, we went down to see him, and Stallone gave me a hug and said, Chuck, is there anything I can get you? I said, yeah, how about a rope ladder? The warden laughed. But the captain of the guards...
Commit suicide.
Climb out of there. Rope ladder.
Oh,
not
rope,
a fucking...
okay. I thought you said rope and ladder.
No, rope ladder to climb down, rope and ladder so I could hang myself. The warden laughed, but the captain of the guard said, don't be a wise ass. I watched them filming, and the next day, and then he finished his shots, and that was it. He personally filmed it there because he knew I was in jail there. He could have picked any one of 10 prisons.
Yeah.
So that's the one. So here he is. He's in prison. He's got there's good things happening. The warden treats him fine, and he's, very lucky and all that sort of thing. But there's also problems in prison, Jimmy.
Sure.
The main problem is with the plumbing. It's always backed up, They have to bring somebody in to rectify it. It's a bad word when we're talking about plumbing. They bring in Paul Calhoun, shit pipe enthusiast, and he says... how is it you come to arrive here? What the fuck? I know you. You're from, you sold me an 8-ball at the bar like 3 nights ago. I know. Why do you think I clean shit pipes and smack wives? I'm coked out of my fucking mind. You know that now. Come on. What are we doing? When are you getting out of here? I need more. I don't know where the fuck to go. I see you at the bar. I'm like, this fucking guy, because I'm always clean. Yeah, I'm always unclogging that shitter in the one place. Remember the one time I was like, hey, Chuck, can you get out of here with your blowjob? I got to unclog that toilet. Remember that? That's me. Good to see you again. That's right. And then you sold me an 8-ball. Absolutely. All right. Yeah, then we did it off that girl's tits, and then she blew me, and then I unclogged the other toilet. It was wonderful. But also, get your shit together, man. What are you fucking doing? Come on. Just admit to it. You wouldn't have got 10 years. You're being a jerk-off. I can't do this with you. You know what? You're going to have to shit in your unclogged toilet. I got to go to Cincinnati on the runway. There's a plane with a backup problem. There's some guy up there about to dunk a red jacketed Delta rep's head and right in the fucking shit. I got to take off right now. Bye. See you later. Poof. And in a barrage of shit and pipes, he's gone.
Yeah.
And Chuck is extremely confused, and he's like, maybe I did have brain damage from this fighting.
Can you imagine if somebody wrote a story about 2 guys that make podcasts and made $1 billion off of it? I'd be furious. You'd be
fucking, and everything we've ever done. Yeah. They're filming in the Tosos parking lot. You're like, fuck you. Hey.
I'd be furious, James.
Oh, absolutely furious. If that ever happened, if we ever got to make a movie like that,
yeah,
I would like to control it by casting terrible people for people who I want to fuck with. That would be fun. That's what I would do.
I'd be so mad if somebody was
You're
living
played by
the
a troll.
high life.
Yeah.
And with limited acting and speaking ability.
I don't know,
oh
Chuck.
my God, I'd be so mad.
Hey, Chuck, this movie and everything, I don't know, what we're going to be doing, but I bought an island. Did I tell you I bought an island? It's pretty good.
Look at my face.
If you're ever out of prison, you should come. It's me, Frank will be there, my mother, who's crazy as fucking balls,
I'd be so mad.
You would. Fucking ridiculous.
Holy shit.
So by 95, he's out of prison. He's doing great.
Okay.
He's a liquor salesman, and he's got contacts all over New Jersey. He's Mr. New Jersey. He's on his 3rd wife by now.
Oh, boy.
He lives in a condo along the shore of Newark Bay. He's doing great. He says he's a neat freak because he was in the Marines there. He loves it. His living room overlooks the Bayonne High School football stadium where he knocked out George Cooper in the 3rd round of his pro debut.
Yeah.
So he can see where his former glory.
Where
he
it all
said,
started.
I only made $200, but I was excited anyway. I was fighting in front of my friends.
Yeah.
In his hometown. So he says he's always traveling around. He attends card shows and visits gyms in the areas also. Not a guy named Jim.
Yeah.
He visits Jim, checks it on him, make sure he's doing well.
All the gyms in the neighborhood.
All the gyms, just Jim, and I'm working. I'm going to go to the Franks next week, and we got Jim now. He said he's always telling the young boxers to learn something that he dismissed as a kid, defense. He goes, learn how to protect your head. He said, I was a banger, a rough guy. You got to whack, but it takes more than that. So it takes more than just punching.
Sure.
He said that he said, I always gave my best and the people appreciated it. I was 35-14-2, but all my losses were in the ring. I never lost a fight on a street or in a back alley.
Okay.
I would believe that. He does insist that he knocked Ali down cleanly, and he said the referee agrees with me. He said he believes it so fervently that on his business cards shows a picture of Ali struggling to get up off the canvas. He immortalized that moment on his business cards.
Not bad.
Yeah, he said, up to that point, I thought it was a real close fight. Then I started getting tired. I just didn't have anything left by the end. So he was already, everyone knew who he was before that, but he said since then, he goes, people still come up to me and ask for autographs. Hey, I was a colorful guy.
Not bad.
Yeah, he says he's doing well. He says that he partied for a long time. He hung out with guys who, were feeding off his fame. He had some bad habits. He said, when you're a celebrity, everywhere you go, people are after you for this and that. You get sucked into this lifestyle. You start hanging around clubs. I drank. I did cocaine, but I never sold it. Never tried to sell it.
Oh,
Yeah, we know that's not true. Come on, Chuck. He said that he found out that after his arrest and his jailing, he said, I made a mistake and I paid for it. I think people can respect you if you have problems and try to overcome them. I learned my lesson, and now I try to enlighten the kids about drug problems. I've been clean for 10 years. I never went to rehab, which he said in court that he did. Right. His lawyer did. I've changed my whole lifestyle. I have a beer every once in a while, but that's it. It's been amazing. I got my old job back, and I'm friendly with the police and everything.
I'm honest now.
I stay away from the people that I had been hanging around with. I got a whole new life now. They're probably dead by now, those people. Are you kidding me? He says that maybe he yearns for his old life, at least the part that he spent in the ring, but he's thinking about the World Ultimate Challenge later in the year. That's a contest that basically it's like it's a giant tough man is what it was. Participants fight in a steel cage with no rules or gloves.
He's almost 60.
Yeah, he's almost 60. He says everything goes, kicking, biting, gouging.
60-year-old man.
It's right up my alley.
Oh, God.
Oh, my God. He said, well, they said, why would you do that at your age? He said, for the money. It's a tournament, and the winner could make more than $50,000.
Oh, God.
I'll go gouge some fucking eyes out. I don't care. He said he makes a comfortable living, and he said he could be a millionaire if he had only taken the percentage of the profits that Stallone offered him for Rocky. Okay? He said he went with a flat fee instead, and of course, the movie went on to become a huge hit.
Right.
If you're a street guy, you go, so you're offering me maybe money or you're offering me a check. Right. I'll take the fucking check.
And back then, if somebody says this could be millions or 50 grand now, back
huge.
Then, who's ever seen $1 million?
I think it was Donald Sutherland for Animal House did the same thing. He was
Really?
They offered him 10 points on the back end of Animal House, and he said he thought it was a shit movie, so he goes, I'll take the $50,000 now, thank you.
Donald.
And at some point they did the calculation, he would have made like $35 million or some crazy shit off of it.
Been like highest paid person ever for that movie.
He said that's more money than I would have made my entire other career, but I took $50,000 instead because I was a name, so they offered it to me.
Yeah.
So he said that it's not just for the money. I'd like to be known as the toughest guy in the world, and I know I can win.
In his 50s.
In his 50s, he's like 58. He says his wife, is this his wife? Yeah, his wife Linda here says, quote, look, I know Chuck's in great shape, and I know he's tough. Of course I don't want to see him do it. I'd rather he didn't. But how can you tell someone not to do what he feels he has to do?
Yeah.
She said, he said, I do love my life, and it feels good not to bleed anymore. That's the only thing that he's keeping him away from doing it.
Yeah.
He said, I've never liked the name, but it was something that stuck with me. I guess it's nice that people remember. And let's face it, 27 years after you fought for the title, you're still being interviewed. That's something.
It is.
Fair.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. This is fucking funny. He says, quote, this is on women. Quote, this is just a kind of a potpourri of Chuckisms here. I used to date a girl, had a horse out on Staten Island. What's that stable? You know what they say about the stable it's in. He never answers. He just goes, what's that stable? And then goes on to the next thing. I used to date a girl, had a horse out on Staten Island. What's that stable? You know what they say about fiery redheads. He just goes on to that. That one was a real whack job.
What?
I woke up one morning and she had a gun pointed in my face and she says she's going to kill me. I say, honey, put down the gun. I say, honey, you got to get off the booze and get the help you need. Jesus Christ. He talks about some ex-girlfriends of his. Some he met at the, quote, Black Garter and Rendezvous. These are two clubs that he had a piece of in Staten Island. So he had pieces of strip clubs. Of course he was doing coke in there. Are you kidding me? My God.
Banging the strippers?
He said the running around ended when he married Linda here. He said he knew she was in charge when he showed up at her bar. I guess she had a bar. Mm-hmm. She told him to stand in line and wait for a drink just like everybody else. You're not a big shot here, pal. And so he's like, I like this one. Yeah. He's like, all right. Hey, you're bleeding. All you did, you just scratched your eyebrow. You're bleeding profusely. He said, don't get me wrong. I love women. I think they're the most beautiful, loveliest creatures God has put on this earth. But I've had a lot of trouble with women. A lot of whack jobs out there.
Okay.
All right, then. They ask him about coke. He says, this was the 80s. It was everywhere. He said, I thought I was untouchable. I thought because I was Chuck Wepner, everybody liked me, so they wouldn't bust me. He said, that was the last time I ever did cocaine. That was 18 years ago. I didn't give up anyone, unlike all these weasels and rats. He didn't tell on anybody is what he's saying. He talks to DARE classes in Bayonne and tells them, you hurt yourself, that's one thing. God forbid you hurt somebody else.
Yeah.
God, that's so New Jersey. God forbid. In 2000, he's making anti-drug speeches, and he says this he sits kids down and says this, quote, I'm not going to tell you to go through your whole life without taking a drink.
That shit's great.
He said, with drugs, it's hard to stay away from them. They're all around. You just got to say no and walk away. Just terrible advice. Yeah. And walk away. That's easy. Sure, no problem. He talks, he talks about Muhammad Ali. He talks about Rocky. He talks about all that shit. There's a councilman there says, he was really cool. I'm a big boxing fan. I'm glad he came. And then Michelle Martin, who teaches the fourth grade class, who he told that to.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you aren't going to get drunk, all right? Yous are going to be alcoholics. But what I'm saying is, don't snort too much coke.
Walk away from it, kids. Say no.
Know your limitations is the thing. You know, you try to balance coke and booze, but sometimes you go a little high on one, a little low on the other. You got to fucking balance yourself out, is all I'm saying.
These are literal children.
They're 9, these kids. And the teacher said, this is exactly the right message for the kids to hear. Okay, sure.
Exactly the right message.
Exactly. 2002, he's driving around. He's working for the liquor place still. Mm-hmm. He's driving around in his Lincoln Town car with a Champ vanity license plate.
Oh, no.
His plate says Champ on it here. He likes to go to McDonald's in the morning, he says, to get coffee. Yeah. And he says, because I walk in and I'm the youngest guy in the place. They got all these retirees hanging out in McDonald's. I walk in and they call me Sonny and I feel like $1 million bucks. Because they have cheap coffee and you can sit there. So
and he's old.
Very much so.
Yeah.
He this is his stat line, 336 career stitches, he said.
That's not bad. That's
a lot.
Impressive. Yeah.
And 11 nose breaks.
Yikes.
Jesus Christ, man. That's wild. That's fucking wild. He said, we got some tough guys. Oh, this is when he said, but in bars, telephone booths, and bathrooms, I'm undefeated, he said at one point in a different phrase of his other one.
Where people are very intoxicated, I beat the shit out of them.
Well, this is smart. He said, what I used to do, I'd wait until a guy went into the bathroom where there's less room to move around, then I'd punch his lights out. Once he's trapped you in a small fucking porcelain room, he gets to knock you out. Make you fall against a urinal.
Street. Yeah.
Holy shit, man. He said that he's always been a decent provider, but not much of a husband. Mm-hmm. He says he still stays close to his 3 children, and even when he has his annual Christmas party, his 2 ex-wives are always invited to. He tries to stay close to them. His friends told him he should hook up with his 3rd wife, Linda. He had dated her briefly 15 years before they got married.
Really?
And then, she said she was tending bar, and that was when she said go to the back of the line.
Right.
They dated for 3 years and then got married later, though. So she said, I liked Chuck years ago, but I don't share. He's a little older now, and he has passed the test. He made some mistakes, but they're all behind him. And as a reward, he got me. So There you go. She said she helps him with his roots, and his business has been really good. They sold enough Italian wine this year to win a whirlwind tour of Italy. So
great.
All the way to Italy.
Yeah.
They said he's doing great. He plays golf in Atlantic City, does all sorts of shit. He said, I was never a great boxer or a great puncher. I was a very well-conditioned guy who could take a real good punch and wear guys down. He said, we go to Vegas 2 or 3 times a year, to Atlantic City 15 times a year. I've always lived large. I drive the best cars. I wear nice clothes. I have jewelry when I go out. I'm as good or better off than 90% of the guys who fought in my era. Because he always had a good job all the way. He's got a good job. He's got like a decent actual job. 2003, very quickly, he sues Sylvester Stallone.
Of course he does.
He does. They said the action arises out of the continuous and current violation of Wepner's rights of publicity of defendant Sylvester Stallone. Throughout the years to date, Stallone has used the plaintiff's name to promote the motion picture Rocky, its 4 sequels, and among other things, products associated with Rocky line of movies, including the character of Rocky Balboa. He said Stallone was inspired to write the script for the motion picture Rocky as a result of viewing and the circumstances surrounding the Chuck Wepner Muhammad Ali fight in 1975. Upon information and belief, the Rocky movie, including the 4 sequels, has generated gross revenues in excess of $1 billion.
Yeah.
Stallone has used and continued to use the name of Chuck Wepner in the promotion of the Rocky line of movies and Rocky franchise without Wepner's express permission and without compensating Wepner. Stallone uses the name of Wepner for marketing and commercial purposes by capitalizing on the fact that Rocky is based on a true story, namely Wepner's. Such a use is for the purpose of adding an element of reality and credibility to the Rocky movies, and to, among other things, attract a new generation of fans and moviegoers. This blatant misappropriation of Wepner's name by Stallone has the effect of depriving Wepner of past and future compensation for the contribution he's made to the Rocky franchise and Stallone's career.
Okay.
Now he wants to cut like a manager here. They also talk about the night of March 24th, 75, Stallone witnessed the fight between him and Muhammad Ali on closed-circuit television. According to him, Wepner's courageous performance was the catalyst, this is according to Stallone, that inspired him to write a script based on Wepner's experience, both prior to and during his fight against Ali. Over the next several days immediately following the fight, Stallone penned the script for the movie Rocky with the character of Rocky Balboa based upon Chuck Wepner. Several months after Wepner's fight with Ali, Stallone telephoned Wepner to inform him he had written a movie script in just 3 days after being inspired by Wepner's performances against Ali. Indeed, on numerous occasions, many times in the presence of others, defendant Stallone has referred to Wepner as, quote, my inspiration. So, then they talk about the special edition Rocky DVD, the print materials found in the packaging disc, as well as an interview visible while watching the DVD. Wepner's name is mentioned as having provided inspiration to the defendant for going the full 15 rounds against heavyweight Muhammad Ali.
Okay.
So that's all written in there. You can't have one or the other. So on one occasion, Stallone invited Wepner to come to Philadelphia to read for the part of Ching Weber, a part defendant had written in the script of Rocky II. Although plaintiff Wepner read for the part, it was ultimately cut out of the movie. So, as the Rocky franchise is concerned, defendant has stated to Wepner, there will be something in this for you, but apparently not. So apparently there was a lot of this. By the way, Stallone wrote this earlier. Through fate or whatever, I ended up at the Muhammad Ali Chuck Wepner fight. It was called a public joke. This is right from Stallone. Wepner would barely go 3 rounds, most of the predictions said. Well, the history books will read that he went 15 rounds. He can hold his head up high forever no matter what happens. I'm sure that moment meant more to him than any money could ever receive from fighting. Later that night, I went home and had the beginning of my character. I had him now. I was going to make a creation called Rocky Balboa, a man from the streets, a walking cliche of sorts, the all-American tragedy, a man who didn't have much mentality but had incredible emotion and patriotism and spirituality. What the fuck does patriotism have to do with it?
Well, he wore the red and white and blue. That's why.
It was the 4th of July they were fighting on.
That's what.
Later on he wore those in the other movies. He wore like gold trunks in the first one.
Yeah, he did that for Apollo Creed.
Apollo Creed came out dressed like Uncle Sam, for Christ's sake. He came out with the whole
That's why
outfit.
he wore the red, white, and blue later for Apollo.
Yeah, later for Apollo. Yeah, because remember in 4 when he fought Drago, Apollo came out to fucking Living in America with James. Living in America. I think he was in the movie James Brown.
He may have been.
So, he said that, blah, blah, blah. Wepner said Stallone called him after writing the script, told him he inspired him, invited him to attend the premiere, blah, blah, blah. When Stallone filmed Copland in 97, near his home, Wepner came to the set. He called Robert De Niro over and said, do you know who this is? And he's patting me on the back and hugging me and kissing me. Like, this is the real Rocky.
Yeah.
So he says he does fine. He doesn't need the money, but what's right is right.
Yeah.
He says that, he's got a site. He makes money with, the Real Rocky website where he has an autographed 8x10 for $89. He says, I live large. This isn't about money. Right. He says it's about respect. It's very New Jersey. It's about respect. It's about broken promises. It's a shame. I really like and admire Stallone, but I just got fed up. After years and years of frustration, after seeing Rocky movie after Rocky movie, I have gotten to the end of the line.
Yeah.
Nothing for nothing. I make a good living. I drive beautiful cars. I live a very good life. He fucking bookended it with that shit.
Yeah, I'm everything I need.
Yep, he's got his Coupe de Ville. He's very happy. He says his wife says his car's a pimp car. It's a nice car, he says. She says it looks like a pimp car. I say I like it. I want to be flashy. I want people to see it. I want people to say, that's Chuck's car.
There he is.
There he is. Anyway, Stallone ends up settling in U.S. District Court. He settles for an undisclosed amount. They never release it.
I wonder how much it is.
I think it was just bad publicity for Stallone to just pay the guy off. Who cares? Right. Yeah. Give him a fuck. Stallone he just was selling a house for $75 million fucking dollars.
He's fine.
Throw Wepner $1 million. Right. He'll run off fucking happy as shit. $1 million? Who cares?
He will
Stallone,
leak
it's nothing.
to the bank.
Yeah, it's nothing. And I guarantee you, he could get that added to. He can get a studio to pay that on the next Rocky movie. For sure. As part of their budget to pay him back for it's all part of the franchise. He's not paying it out of his pocket, for Christ's sake. 2005, 2006.
Whatever it was, he should have disclosed it because that's great publicity.
It's great. Yeah, absolutely. I gave him more money you give him, the better you look. So 2005, 2006, he ends up being arrested for mail fraud, Chuck.
Oh, no.
He's not good now. Let's just put it that way. This is something we've talked about, and if you have Patreon, you'd know all about this. This was Operation Bullpen. You remember that? That was the counterfeit autograph and memorabilia.
He was involved in it?
Remember where that was? New Jersey.
Yeah.
New York. Yeah, he was involved in it. Well, we'll talk about it. That was John Olson was the main guy. The FBI released details regarding a guilty plea entered by Chuck Wepner here over this. The files were sealed until recently. Press reveals, this is from an article, press release shows that Wepner entered a guilty plea for conspiring to commit mail fraud. He admitted to selling memorabilia forged by John Olson, who pled guilty in 2003 and received 3 years probation. Those sales taking place from June 96 through March 2002. He was selling bullshit autographs who everybody thought, for everyone thought, not his own, but other people's. They all thought he was real because he's Chuck Wepner.
Wow.
So it must be real, but he was just a part of it. It's the same shit. This is... I'd much rather you sell Coke. At least that's honest. Want some Coke?
Yeah.
Okay, here's some money. Here's some Coke. That's an honest transaction.
This doesn't hurt anybody not trying to get hurt.
Oh, man. Among the items sold were Champions Forever boxing posters. Gold-inked versions are forged, by the way, if you're looking for one of those. That's how you can tell. The Champions Forever forgeries were exposed in 96 by Sports Collectors Digest, which quoted Wepner as saying the forgeries were purchased from another party. He said, though, in 96, quote, John Olson is a good kid. He buys things in good faith, and sometimes he gets stuck. They acted like he got fucked over by somebody else, and it got passed on to Wepner.
Meanwhile, he's making them.
He's fucking making them or having other people make them on purpose. It's a giant fucking scam. He's got to enter a guilty plea here. Let's see here. Oh, yeah, they were indicted in San Diego on 13 counts of all this shit. This Brian Ginsburg and John Olson. And Olson was quoted on an FBI press release saying Ginsburg paid him and Wepner about $117,000 for forged memorabilia. So, yeah, that's ridiculous. So, in a related case, another one, Michael DeSola of Madison Sports pled guilty in March of 2004 to mail fraud, again related to forged autographs, mostly Muhammad Ali's, and again in another case. So, everybody's getting all this. Everybody's going. This was a giant FBI operation. It was spearheaded by FBI to target sellers of counterfeit sports and celebrity memorabilia in San Diego and nationwide. And we did a great Patreon on it. There's also a 30 for 30 on it as well. So during all of this, there's everybody's scrambling through all this on the fucking the actual website, the news website reporting it. On the comments, okay? You got to scroll sometimes. This is from 16 years ago, it says.
Yeah.
There's a comment from Anonymous that says, do you know where we can get a list of auctions which Ginsburg participated in and or specific lists of the items he sold? I'm supposedly a defendant in this case, and I'd like to know which of these items in my possession are fakes. Holy fucking shit. That's hilarious. So Wepner has to go to court for this. He is sentenced to, he pled guilty now, mind you, you, sir, may fuck off. 1 day in jail.
What?
Which he already served, so it's time served. When they arrested him, they count that for a day. 90 days home confinement and a $2,000 fine. Chuck, you never do that again. Bad boy, they just said.
Unbelievable.
Wow. He faced up to 5 years for this.
Thousands of dollars.
Role in a mail order scam to sell fake autographs of Muhammad Ali and other fighters. Yeah, they believed from him because he fucking fought him. Yeah. Goddamn ridiculous. So, it's silly. Brian Ginsberg was the owner of a sports memorabilia store in Long Island, New York, and he was the mastermind of all this bullshit. And that's how that goes. So 2011, there's a Real Rocky documentary on ESPN, kind of how everybody knows about his story from that. And then Stallone, by the way, said, in my opinion, this is the filmmaker here said, in my opinion, Sylvester Stallone hijacked Chuck Wepner's soul. This film is my attempt to help Chuck get his soul back. Calm down.
Yeah, relax.
Calm the fuck down. So they aired that in 2011, October 2011. 2016, there's a huge lawsuit, not for him, but for 2 competing movies, both trying to make a movie about him.
Oh, my God.
This is Chuck and the Brawler. One is Liev Schreiber, one is Zach McGowan. That's how these 2 movies are.
Wow.
Okay, those are the 2 Chuck Wepners in these movies.
Liev Schreiber is going to play him?
Did. The movie Chuck, I guess it was.
Wow.
I guess it happened already. I didn't know about it. Zach McGowan played him in The Brawler. So, that's they were both made. They were suing each other because they said they didn't know they were making competing stories and all this. This happens in Hollywood all the fucking time.
There's only so many stories.
There's only so many fucking stories, yeah. But the lawsuit says comparison between the 2 scripts, sizzle reels, and marketing materials makes it clear that defendants used portions of or all of plaintiff's script, budget, production schedule, sizzle reel, and other production materials to develop their own copycat film, which defendants apparently intended to release before the authorized Wepner film. Wow. So that's how it works. The lawsuit also claims that they tried to lure Schreiber and screenwriter away from the Bleeder to work on their project. So, whatever. 2017, Chuck, that's the Schreiber one there. Naomi Watts is in it, plays Linda Wepner. Yeah. Wepner says, the movie took 5 years to make. Schreiber did a great job. I made the right pick. I took the upfront money as usual, which I shouldn't have. The film is still playing. You can get it on Netflix. You didn't learn your fucking lesson the first time?
You took fucking upfront money?
Bro, believe in your story. Believe in yourself.
Yeah.
Believe in yourself, because we've been offered upfront money, or you can we'll be like, we'll take fucking our righteous percentage, actually. Yeah, that's what we'll take, because we believe in ourselves. That's what you do. So, anyway, he ends up in 2018. He is diagnosed with rectal cancer.
Oh, no.
He had surgery to remove the affected tissue. He said they took out 2.5 pounds of stuff.
Yikes.
Then he had chemo.
Of his asshole.
Oh, my God. Jesus. Up in there somewhere. He had chemo and 30 days of radiation. He lost 30 pounds from it and all that sort of thing. He said, but it's hard. The whole thing is hard, the healing process. He said, one day I'm constipated. The next day I have diarrhea.
Yeah.
Plus, I lost the weight. I don't have any energy. I lost my mojo. You don't feel like doing anything. If you get up in the morning and you do have 3 or 4 hours of sleep, you just don't have any pep. Well, yeah. He said, most of the stuff I lost was muscle mass. Unfortunately, you can see my arm. I've never had that. And he said he had jiggly skin under there. He also had spinal stenosis, a major back surgery, and a hip replacement recently. A lot of problems. He said, it's been a fun time for the last 5 or 6 years. They talk about the golden years, but my golden years haven't been too great. But I'm still here. 2021, he has stage 3 colon cancer now.
It's back.
He said, I'm done with chemo. I've had 3 operations. I went through radiation, and now I'm just watching my diet. My doctor has me eating rice, apples, and bananas. He said 6 doctors over the past 3 years haven't thrown in the towel yet, so he's ready to do it here. He tries to keep a normal schedule. He's still a liquor salesman.
What?
Yep, he says that he needs to do it. He wants to stick with it, makes him feel normal and like he's doing it. His third wife also works for them as well, the same Allied Beverage Group. He said they, meaning Allied, are the biggest in the state. Linda's been out there for 28 years. She's one of the superstars for the company. He's doing well, but he's not doing well. He's still alive right now at 83 years old.
Real.
83. In 2022, by the way, as of 2022, as of now, there is funding in place for completion of a statue of Chuck to be placed in Stephen R. Gregg Park in Bayonne Park.
They better hurry it the fuck up if they want him to see it.
They want him there. Can't get enough of Chuck Wepner? Well, there's plenty. Check out a lot of his fights. They're entertaining to watch. Check out like the last few rounds of the Ali fight. See if you think the knockdown was a slip or not. Mm-hmm. You can get his autograph, it looks like. I don't know what the fuck this is or if this is real or not, but it seems to say it's real. I don't know, whatever. StarTiger.com has these autographs of people. I don't know if that's like a site that talks to them or what, but also Joss Sports Inc., JOS Sports Inc. You can buy his business card.
This is on the ground?
No, this is a different one. This is a completely different deal here. This is what is this? When is this from? Last chapter's, wow. It's a pharmaceutical company he's working for. It is Bi-Coastal Pharmaceutical Corp., consultants, brokers, Chuck Wepner, VP of Public Relations, former NABA heavyweight champion, inspiration for Rocky movies. That's on his business card. And then it says a Red Bank, New Jersey address and a fax number and a regular number.
What's that have to do with who I'm buying fucking syringes from? What is he talking about?
Oh, my God. Includes a photo on back of Ali and Wepner in the ring. He puts look, I prove it. I fought Ali. It is $65 you can get that for. Or you can get his autograph. Who the fuck knows if that's real? Right. Jesus Christ, at this point. Autograph signed, where is this? I don't know, historyforsale.com. Autographed signed photograph of Chuck Wepner with Ali punching him in the face and his hair popping up in the air. $108 for that. So there it is. That, everybody, is Chuck Wepner.
Whew.
And that is crime and sports. Well, that's the story anyway. It's fucking insane, right?
Yeah, it's a long one.
So he's been around since the 60s.
Yeah.
It's a 60-year career so far with us. So there he is. That is Chuck Wepner. If you like that story, God damn it, tell everybody you ever fucking met. Why don't you?
Please do.
Tell them all and sit them down and hold their little eyes open like Clockwork Orange and their little ears too so they can hear. Their eyes really don't matter, but their ears, that's important.
Yeah.
So they can hear, stuff AirPods into their ears and handcuff their hands behind their back and make them listen. Do all of that. Check it out. Give us a review, by the way. 5 stars helps. Whatever app you're listening on, it is extremely helpful, and we have no idea why. But check it out and do that, please. Head over to shutupandgivememurder.com, where you can get everything crime and sports and small-town murder related. You can get all the merchandise. You can get tickets for live shows. You can get information. You get it all over there. Shutupandgivememurder.com. Also, follow us on social media. We're at Crime and Sports on Twitter and Facebook, at Smalltown Murder on Instagram, and Patreon, my God. Patreon.com/crime and sports. So much good stuff. Anybody $5 or above, not only are you going to get a shout out, which we're going to do in a second, of course, but you are going to also get insane bonus shit and lots of bonus shit. You're going to get Small Town Murders bonus shit as well as Crime and Sports bonus shit. Then, even more shit, you're going to get our backlog of shit. A whole shit pipe full of it. 150-something episodes, just a shit pipe full of shit you're going to get. It'll be shit stacked on top of shit, stacked on top of shit, and you can get it all for $5 a month. Plus, we're going to tell you you're a good person with a shout-out. You can't beat it. It's the best value ever. This week, your episodes are going to be, for Crime and Sports, we're going to talk about the downfall of Bobby Knight, he was a superstar, most respected coach going, John Wooden of the fucking 80s, basically. They tried to make him out. And no, he's a huge asshole. Way different than John Wooden. Not a nice guy. And we'll talk about what ruined his career and made him end up at Texas Tech rather than fucking wherever it was, the Red Raiders, whoever they are, rather than Indiana. Right. Yeah. That's where he was at first. I was trying to think of what Texas Tech's the Red Raiders, I think they are. I think that's what it is. So check that out. Then for Small Town Murders, which you'll get access to, and it's shit you'll be interested in, we're going to talk about a nearly 30-year-old documentary. That is, you can still watch it on HBO Max. I'm sure it's on YouTube. It is Lock Up Rikers Island. It's the quintessential kernel of all the other prison documentaries, man. It's the real shit where everyone was like, God damn.
Is that what it's like?
Before that, they'd have like 60 Minutes would do shit on prison, but it wasn't like somebody come in here, fuck with me, I'll rape their face. Like, nobody said that on 60 Minutes. They cut that part out. And we're like, in prison, you need to, it's hard to get nutrition. They did like stuff like that. It wasn't like real shit.
60 Minutes never said, now crouch and cough.
Yeah, he never saw that shit. And we're going to talk about other prison stuff, too, that we've heard about, compare different states and countries and all that kind of shit. So check all that out. Patreon.com/crime and sports. And, of course, you're going to get a shout-out. As a matter of fact, you're going to get a shout-out right fucking now. Yes. I think it's time. Jimmy, hit me with them, but don't make me bleed all over the place like Chuck Wepner. Right to the face. Come on, Jimmy.
This week's executive producers are Cody Leverseek, John and Susan McQuilkin. Happy birthday, Brittany. No last name.
Birthday,
but
Brittany.
If you need to know who you are Melanie's Jimmy to her James. That should give you enough clues because that's all the information I have.
You're the drunk one. That's what that is.
Adam Jones, Jordan Bennett, Rebecca Aubry, Will and Maddie, Weed Saviors of Detroit. Do you remember them?
I do. Wonderful
thank you
people.
so much.
Thank you.
Dakota Plain, Paul in the UK. And our other producers this week are Corporal Carl Kirshner, Peyton Meadows.
Solid
Peyton Meadows,
Corporal.
Isn't it? It is Meadows.
I think it is Peyton Meadows.
Robert Hortelling. That's a fascinating name.
Hortel, please.
Hortel. Happy Hour, taking his life into his own hands on a cruise ship. Darren Mihal and Jess Stope just got married. Happy marriage. Congratulations.
Happy marriage.
We're the reason they know each other. Frank, South African birdwasher, Janice Hill, Diane Taylor, fighter of the Nightman, James. That is Dayman,
the
correct?
Dayman, obviously, clearly. Yes. Obviously.
Jeremy, Marie Nuss, Oladipo Jibawu. Oladipo. That's all I do know because I watch basketball. Donald Bowles, Jason Zeke, Mike Welshans, Eaton Beaver. I hope you're proud of yourself. Emily McCarthy, Tom Regan, Lisa Ross, Todd Elliott, Jamie Hama, John Boone, Michael Downey, Catherine Bartolomucci, the Mooch. That's who it is. Ann Rieger, Daniel the concert photographer, Jake Ham, Malik Delfish. Oh, boy. Chrislyn Stewart, Matthew Boone, Lee Frenzy, Eric Lemons, D. Thad Art, Cassie, nope, that's just Cass Robbins, Dark with no last name, Lieutenant Dan's Legs, Kyle Oliver, Rebecca Caparros, Chris Richter, what is it?
Capicol. I just want
Dr. T. Jr., Daniel Davis, Alec Craig, Hannah Szalowski, Courtney Forrester, Aaron Nelson, Taylor Naka Kahihara, Teresa Von Eberstein, Dave Henry, Alice Cordova Potter, Roger One Bun, Janice Trufant, Bosco with no last name, Sissy Romero, Corey Euling, Jamie Stevenson, Meja Lindbergs, I think, Logan Ryan, Madison Borth, Cleed with no last name, Bethany Latch, Jordan Rash, Connor Fugate, Sandra Stalkey, Peter Della Penna, Kayla Bodnovich. I don't know. Eric Honesty, Kermit Paddock. I think it's Honesty. It may have been something else, and that was corrected to that. I don't know. Kermit Paddock, Jeff Wyman, Dustin Huffman, Maddie Fitzgerald, Nicole Rhodes, Rain 55, Nikki Jamison, Alicia, obviously. Mount.
Did you say Dustin Hoffman?
Dustin Huffman.
No.
The poor bastard. He could.
I know.
You could use that as some marketing somewhere.
Scam
Dustin
somebody
Huffman
somewhere.
will be there. People will show up and be like, "Who the fuck are you?" Michelle,
I don't look like him or anything, but
Devin T, Melissa Hardman, Andre the Midget, Rissa Rue, Jeremy Underwood, Marissa Borse, Megan Press, Amanda Schmitz, Jennifer with no last name, Randy Warmeister, Mr. Pyro, Baka Yamakokaro.
Yeah, you got it, Jimmy.
Joseph Luciano,
Bullseye.
SG, Kyle Hinley, Lizzie Miller, Joshua Gray, Adam Vasquez, Bridget McLemore, Robert Goins, Cindy Ross, Brandon Zuni, Katie Mertis, Sarah Warren Aver, Big Pimpin' 25, Haley, Tegan, Lucas. Those are all first names. Scott Fox, John Moravets, Plays with Scissors, John Carey, Amy Bella Belter, Sarah Mack, Matthew Pierce, David Gillespie, Guido Pudi, maybe Putty, I don't know. Beth Faring, Farrington, Laura Blackberg, Locke Holmes, Heather Guthrie, Brenda Dunn, Ja Crow, Yes, Noah Marsters, Sebastian Hartley. It's really coming undone. Lisa Cordova Gomez, Pamela Doyle, Michael with no last name, Johanna Simpson, Jade Freeberg, Katie Johnson, Lance with no last name, Michael Ross, Diana Sigsby, Z 411811. Could be somebody's employee number. I don't know. Erica Clifton, Lola M, Ryan Wheeler, Tiffany Custer, Steven Sewell. Jason Barham, and Brian and Stephanie Kirchhoff. Thank you guys so much, especially you and also all of our patrons. You're amazing.
Thank you, everybody. Honestly, from the bottom of our goddamn hearts, we really, really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. We're just blown away by all of your support and everything like that. So thank you, and keep coming back. We'll keep dishing out the Patreon and the regular stuff.
Keep making it.
Keep checking us out. If you want to follow us on social media individually, very easy to do that. Just go to shutupandgivememurder.com. There's links there to everything, or you just Google Crime and Sports Podcast hosts.
We're around.
We better be the only fucking ones. And if we're not, tell us who else is there, and we will hunt them like animals. Yeah. That's how it works. That said, thank you again for joining us. Hope you enjoyed a wild story. And live from the Crime and Sports Studios, we will see you next week.
Bye.
If you like crime and sports, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.